I ceased being amused by her 15 years ago.
Oh, okay. March, seen her a couple of months.
They could be more fun.
Spent a lot of money on flags. She hasn't got a life.
Thank you.
Yeah, right.
I see the lizards out there. The sun.
So Monday, Tuesday, Karen.
What's that Hotmail address?
Very informative. And I was surprised how far.
Probably the 19th, just Monday and
How far along it is.
that 26th will be the last.
I mean, it's very hard for it. We did the similar exercise here. Okay, yeah.
So the 19th, I mean, the 19th is the holiday, so it'll be probably the 20th.
Really
26th, yeah.
I think that's what the blue dot is.
There's a guy named Harrison there.
Oh, yeah. Something like Mother's Day
And
holiday.
he's working on some project over there. And he said,
All right, we'll get started.
let's figure it out like that.
Hey, Davis. Good morning. Don't bless that.
No, I know.
I know,
Because
other
I-
business. Yep.
Oh,
More like, yeah.
yeah, well, probably.
One by Zoom, two by Zoom.
Yeah, I figured a blue dot must be something.
You need on a plane or bus.
It's like a train. I don't know.
No.
Two on the Zoom.
Well, I look forward to the warm weather.
All right, we'll get started again. Colonel, you want to lead us off?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll start off with some public comment.
Yeah, I'll start off unless the media would like to go first. Fred Kane from Wolfboro. I've been coming to the delegation meetings for 2 years now, and I've also attended every single commissioners meeting in the last 2.5 years. I haven't missed one. And I know we're going to appoint a new commissioner to fill the vacant slot of Terry McCarthy, and I would urge, the delegation here to really look at these people. I've read all their things on it, and I personally would ask that they consider each and every one of them by their credentials and what they've done, but I would ask that you consider Winkler Sinkler, who has attended the commissioners' meetings in the past, and he's the only one of the 3 candidates I've ever seen in 2.5 years at, several commissioners' meetings. So with that said, I just hope that everyone will have an open mind and, maybe not consider party lines, because this position for a commissioner really isn't a party line thing. It's management of the county facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Damon Steer, Tommy Son. I was just wondering if you could just briefly describe the need for the supplemental budget.
How about we get to that when we have the public hearing on that?
That'd be great.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Seeing none, move to have an attendance taken, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Cadelli?
Here.
Representative Taylor? Here. Representative Smith? Representative Belcher?
Here. Representative Brown.
Here.
Representative Hamlin.
Here.
Representative Crawford.
Here.
Clerk is present. Representative Pettingill.
Here.
Representative Bucco.
Here.
Representative Woodcock.
Here.
Representative Burrows.
Here.
Representative McAleer.
Here.
Representative Page.
Here.
And Mr. Chairman.
Present.
Yes, Mr. Representative Smith.
Yep, thank you. You're going to be turning. Motion to approve the meeting minutes from our March 21st meeting.
So move.
Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Pettingill.
Representative Crawford is not muted.
Representative Crawford, could you mute, please? And Representative Burrows.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any motions, changes to minutes? Mr. Clark?
Okay, the approved minutes of 3/21/25. Representative Cordelli.
Minutes.
Oh, yes.
Representative Taylor.
Yes.
Representative Belcher.
Yes.
Representative Brown.
Yes.
Representative Hamlin.
Yes.
Representative Crawford.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Pettingill.
Yes.
Representative Bucco.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Burrows.
Yes.
Representative McAleer.
Yes.
Representative Page.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion passes 14-0.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing on the supplemental.
Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Woodcock.
Thank you. I'd ask as a courtesy, you move to appointments, so the three candidates are here, so they don't have to wait around for length and duration, and if whoever wins will be welcome to stay.
I would be happy to do that.
Thank you.
We will have the appointments now. So I am just going in alphabetical order to call whoever is up. And that would be Representative, the Honorable Gene Chandler would be first. You have 5 minutes to introduce yourself and take questions. Sir, come on and join us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Pleasure to see you again,
Where should I go? Right here?
wherever you want.
Oh, wherever you want.
Yeah, you want to sit right at the top of there? There's a nice chair for you.
Hi, thanks for having me here today and the opportunity to join the commission. My name's Gene Chandler. I'm a lifelong resident of Hampshire, Carroll County, and Bartlett and Jackson. Kind of been around for a little while, and I hope that works to my advantage, but you never know. I think that's my strong suit to this would be that I can sort of hit the ground running, so to speak, because I'm very familiar with the makings of county government, having served as a delegation member for quite a few years and a member of the House of Representatives, and a Bartlett selectman for quite a few years. So I think my resume was sent out speaks for what I've done, and hopefully you will give that good consideration, and I'm willing to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Any questions for Mr. Chandler?
Easy question.
Easy questions. Seeing none? Representative Page.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you see as the chief challenges that you are hoping to work on while you're here?
I would, no, I mean, it's not that I don't want to, but I need to familiarize myself with what's going on a little bit, and there's been a lot of changes in the county, but a lot of things have stayed the same too. I think my main consideration is trying to represent the taxpayers and see that they're getting a good quality product for whatever happens, and represents their fiscal needs as much as possible. And work with the delegation members. I've always worked well with the prior delegations when I was on them, and I think I have a track record of good bipartisanship and working to get the job done. And, you know, you have our arguments, then move on to the next thing. And so I don't have any agenda at all, and I'm open to listening to whatever goes on and making the best decisions I can.
Representative Woodcock.
Thank you. Honorable Chandler. Do you have any familiarity with the budget, the current budget or the supplemental budget that's before us today?
I do not, other than what I've read. I have not,
Okay, thank you.
I've read it, looked at it in the paper, but I don't have any opinions on it, because I wasn't involved in having to do with making it up, so
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
interested to hear about it, so.
Thank you.
Representative Brown.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chandler, do you have any experience working with either the existing commissioners?
Well, Harold, Commissioner Parker, yes, so, yeah, I think he was in the House when I was there, and then some of his prior political jobs that he's had, I had some interaction with him over the years in his different positions. Commissioner McGee I know, but I have not had any interactions with him.
Thank you.
Representative Page, follow-up.
Do you have any opinions on the future use of this building that we're in now?
I don't, I'm sorry, but I have to look and see I see something's happening here, I guess, so, it's been a long-standing issue, I know. I mean, even back when I was on the delegation, it was still an issue, so hopefully we can bring it to some resolution, I would hope. But once again, I don't mean to be evasive, but I don't know. I need to listen to the delegation of commissioners and the department heads and see what the best proposal is for the taxpayers and the county.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Representative Burrows.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm on a train and I can't raise my hand on this stuff. Mr. Chandler, I wanted to ask you if you feel that the county should have an audit every year.
If the what, I'm sorry?
Have an audit every year.
The county?
Yeah.
I hadn't really thought of that. I would assume it, doesn't it have one? No. I think it has one, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think as far as I know, I always used to have one every
Yep.
year, so I assume, yeah, I support that.
Yeah, I'm just asking, because I don't believe that we're both from Bartlett, obviously. I don't believe that Bartlett's had an audit every year, so I was wondering what your take was on that.
We have an audit every year. We have an elected auditor in town, yep, who audits the books every year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you, Mr. Chandler.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Joe Mosca is next.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep. Good to see you, sir.
Good to be seen. Thank you all. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me down. Joe Mosca. I've been living in Conway for the past 20 plus years. I come from one of the states south of us that I won't mention. And I moved out of there for a reason. I moved up here not to change things, but to embrace the way of New Hampshire life. For 30 years I've been on different boards in different states continually. Most times I've been on 2 different boards. Right now I was recently re-elected to the Conway School Board after taking a couple of years off.
It's got to be Anita.
It's both Anita Burrows and Representative Crawford. Representative Crawford, mute, please.
Thank you. Please
I am
continue.
mute. I am mute. I just unmuted it.
As I was saying, I was recently re-elected to the Conway School Board after taking a couple of years off, and I was named the chair. A couple weeks ago, I was re-elected to the Mass Bay Credit Union Board of Directors. I'm the former chairman, former treasurer. I was nominated for treasurer this year and I turned it down because I didn't know if I was appointed to this position, how much time I'd have, so I turned that down. And I like to serve, I like to give back to the communities, and that's why I put my name in.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Mosca? Representative Whitcomb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joe, good morning. Good to see you again. Do you have any familiarity with the current budget of the county?
Not the total budget. I did look at the supplemental budget that was out. I will say I'm not a big fan of supplemental budgets. I think the budgeting process should be done once. I understand the changes do come up, but I think some of the things that are on the supplemental budget should have been covered in the normal budget. That's my personal opinion, but I did look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any further questions for Mr. Mosca? Representative Page.
Just to repeat the question I asked the prior speaker, do you have any understanding of this building and various things that have been proposed for it, and do you have any opinions on its future?
This building, no, not any whatsoever.
Representative, oh, did you have follow-up, Representative Page?
Nope.
Good. Representative Brown.
Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So, based on your experience, you said you've lived full-time in New Hampshire the last 20 years?
Yes,
But you've had basically governmental experience in the state of Massachusetts as well as in New Hampshire?
correct.
And then the last thing, sorry. So, since you moved here 20 years ago, what's been your primary employment?
I retired 16 years ago.
Okay.
I've worked part-time at Cranmore, and I worked part-time at a couple of different golf courses, because that's what I chose to do. I was fortunate enough to get my finances in order so I could retire when I turned 50. That was my goal, and I did it. I'm happy with what I do, and that's why I have the time to serve on all the boards I serve on.
Thanks for your service to those people.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the questions.
Any further questions for Mr. Mosca? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Mr. Sinkler? You are up next, sir.
Hi, everyone. I'm Workin Sinkler of Sandwich, New Hampshire. I serve on the Sandwich Energy Committee, and I ran for County Commissioner in November last year. I'm the only one of the candidates presenting themselves here today who did that. I did get 13,551 votes in the countywide vote in November, and that is 43% of the voters of the county. So I've already expressed a strong interest and a desire to learn about and contribute to the people of Carroll County's well-being by serving as their commissioner. I don't have sort of an agenda to reveal as to how I would approach this job. I would echo the statements of Mr. Chandler about serving the county as well as possible and also being fair to the taxpayers of Carroll County. So I think that is sort of the balancing act that will be central to my thinking as I approach the job of County Commissioner. I guess my background, I worked in a large U.S. corporation for many years in the Chicago area, out in Illinois. I managed people as an employee in that capacity, and I also did financial planning. So I have the tools to engage with the management responsibilities as County Commissioner. And I hope you'll consider my candidacy and welcome any questions that you have.
Thank you, sir. Representative Woodcock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board, good to see you again. Thank you for coming down. Do you have any familiarity with the current budget or opinions of the supplemental budget?
I mean, I've gone over past county budgets as a candidate, and I don't have strong opinions about where changes could be made, for example. I think, certainly as a candidate, it's probably too early for me to opine on detailed budget questions, but I will be all ears and learning and hopefully working with my fellow commissioners on those questions in a collaborative and consensus-building fashion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further questions for Mr. Sinkler? Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually have two questions, if that's all right.
Please.
So I would also like to say that last year during the candidates' nights, I spent a few nights with you, and you handled yourself very professionally in those evenings with the residents of our county. So thank you for that. As you know, we're going through some work here in the county on our technology side, on our updating our computer systems. And you have some background with Honeywell, and you were a R&D fellow with that organization. So is there something in particular that you think you could provide to the county in that regard as a commissioner that would help us with this integration going forward?
I mean, I would approach it as someone with a strong background in computer skills. I used computer programming a lot in my work, and so, you know, I mean, each programming platform is a little different, and I'm sure that the ones I was using at Honeywell will not be the same ones that are being used here at the county complex. But as someone who's worked a lot with that kind of system before, I think I could learn pretty rapidly and talk with IT professionals and get their help and input and hopefully make the right decisions when it comes to you know, implementing changes and improvements to the IT systems for the county.
Second question.
Sure. Yep.
So in a lot of what some of the other representatives had asked about the budget and what's been going, have you kept up on what's been going on with the meetings with the commissioners over the last year since you had applied to be a commissioner?
I have been to several meetings, and you know, I think they've been informative. I have not gone to all of them, but you know, I have sort of thoughts about things that I see, and I guess, you know, I'd like to see more harmony in how things are run, and, you know, I know that can be challenging to do, and without personal interaction with employees and commissioners and delegates, it's hard to really form a picture of where some of the challenges are, but I would hope those are things that I would approach this job with a intent at sort of improving, building more consensus, and having, you know, avoiding problems that end up costing taxpayers money.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Mr. Sinkler? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Representative Whitcock, would you like a brief recess to caucus, or are you guys all ready to go?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
It's tough to get to one on the train, you know?
All right, we will open the floor to motions for appointments.
Mr. Chair?
Representative Whitcock.
Thank you. I'd like to move Wharton Sinkler, the commissioner position, for a couple of reasons, particularly...
Do we have a second?
I don't know.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Matt?
It was Representative McAleer. Okay. Please, sir.
Thank you. Sorry to know you for a second. For a couple of reasons. One, he's a candidate who's followed this for the last year and a half. He received representation of votes from every single community sitting around this table. A year and a half ago, we all ran for office, we all campaigned, we all did our work. From every single town around this table, he had votes of people from your community. 13,500 people that we represent voted for him. That's the first thing. The second thing, if this was a subcommittee of this committee, or a subcommittee of the House, it would always be majority-minority. I think that's beneficial. This would allow that to happen. In this particular case, we have a majority-minority. So I think it just lends to the positivity, the bipartisanship, and the fact it brings a different perspective. But particularly taking that, we have every single community that we represent voted for him. 13,500 people in our hometowns. And he was the only one that ran before we put the time in. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Any further comments for Mr. Sinkler?
Just my other comment.
Representative McAleer.
Thank you. I'd like to echo Steve's comment on bipartisanship. I think that it's the way we are, the delegation, it's about 2-to-1, 3-to-1, and I think that would make a good mirror in the
commissioners, a 2-to-1 representation.
Thank you. Floor is still open for nominations. Representative Brown?
Are we going to have the ability to caucus, Mr. Chairman?
Would you like to?
I would.
We'll be in recess for 10 minutes.
10:24.
Feels like I need to pass pen, I get here without.
Next time I see you in the well, I want to see that pen.
I wear pen all the time. Not that one.
It's like the military in there.
I wear that for every day.
Reach out to Carroll first.
It's the one up on the wall behind, you know.
It is attractive.
I guess I'm okay. You're going to go over further on. I'm not glad.
We should have done that training before in a car.
So we have a motion. You got it.
Yes. Don't get me started.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Pleasure, Representative Woodcock. We are now back in session. Thank you, everyone, for the indulgence for our 10-minute caucus. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion on that nomination? Mr. Clark.
The motion is to move Mr. Sinclair to fulfill the position of County Commissioner of District 1. Representative Cordell? No. Representative Taylor?
No?
Representative Smith?
No.
Representative Belcher?
No.
Representative Brown?
No.
Representative Hamblin?
No.
Representative Crawford?
No.
Clerk votes no. Representative Patnell?
No.
Representative Bucco?
Yes.
Representative Woodcock?
Yes.
Representative Burrows?
Yes.
Representative McAleer?
Yes.
Representative Page?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman?
No. I'm sorry. No.
Motion fails 10-5.
Thank you. Do we have another nomination from the floor? Representative Brown?
Decided to nominate the Honorable Gene Chandler for Commissioner.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Representative Cordelli, thank you.
I'd like to make a nomination. I'd like to make a nomination.
In the next round. Or do you want to make a, we're going to take them one by one.
As long as I have the opportunity to make a third nomination, yes.
I'm going to probably say there won't be a second one. There won't be a third one.
There will be discussion on this nomination.
Certainly. First and second, discussion? No, Representative Brown.
Made the motion to,
Yeah, would you like to discuss your motion?
no, well, I guess I'll just say, the reason why I nominated the Honorable Gene Chandler is his vast experience in not only this county delegation, but also in state matters. And the fact that having him been the Speaker of the House on several occasions, he certainly has the ability to be bipartisan in moving forward with this. And I think his experience, having been on the county delegation before in a leadership role, would hopefully bring together the current commissioners in the appropriate way that we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Page.
I was hoping we'd have an opportunity to discuss all of the candidates. I certainly think all three of the folks who put their names in are obviously supremely qualified for this role. I think we're lucky to have three great candidates. I will say I was hoping to have an opportunity to talk about Mr. Mosca's candidacy, I will say, from years that he served as the chair of our budget committee. I've been on the other side of the table from him through that process. I've found him to be an extremely competent public servant and an independent thinker. So I'm disappointed that we won't get a chance to talk about his candidacy today.
Thank you. Representative Woodcock?
No, I was just going back to my point. I don't understand why we're not allowed to put a second candidate in.
We are. Representative Chandler?
There's no second candidate at this point. One at a time. Since there's 2 left, nomination should be open, I would think.
Would you like to do that? We certainly can have a second nomination. We can vote on both.
Thank you. I would like to do that.
Representative Woodcock, would you like to move Mr. Mosca to a nomination?
Yes, I would. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Representative Page, would you like to second that?
I would, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion on either one? Representative Taylor?
This is a separate point. Could you specify the length of term for this appointment, please?
Excuse me?
What will be the length of term for this appointment?
It would be till the next election in November of 26.
Thank you.
Yes, 26. Yeah, November 26.
I'm
It's not for the entire term, it's only for, it's in statute that it's only until the next election.
Oh, regardless of the term they're filling? Regardless of the term they're filling?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that. Thank you. Brian, good question. Thank you.
All right, we have 2 nominations. Mr. Mosca and Mr. Chandler. Any further discussion? Mr. Clerk? Does you support the name that you are supporting? Choose the name that you are supporting.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask the delegations cooperation, whatever, to do each candidate one at a time rather than mixing and matching? Saying one candidate yes, one candidate no. Can we do this nomination and then go to the next nomination?
Well, that's what I wanted to do, but we are working in a bipartisan effort right now. So if you want to have 2 separate motions and fill them out as they come, that should be fine. And then the majority would be the winner. Representative
Mr. Chairman, I believe you just initially suggested that we say the name of the person that we would be voting for. So I think we could do it that way with 1 round as opposed to 2.
Very good.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Quite clear.
I believe so. This is,
I'm familiar with these types of errors, John.
the motion is to vote for the remaining 2 candidates by giving their last name.
Yes.
To fill the commission of District 1 seat.
Yes.
Representative Cordelli.
Chandler.
Representative Taylor.
Mr. Chandler?
Representative Smith.
The Honorable Gene Chandler?
Representative Belcher.
The Honorable Gene Chandler.
Representative Brown.
The Honorable Gene Chandler.
Representative Hamlin.
The Honorable Gene Chandler.
Representative Crawford.
The Honorable Gene Chandler.
Clerk votes the Honorable Gene Chandler. Representative Petna.
The Honorable Gene Chandler.
Representative Bucco.
Mosca.
Representative Woodcock.
Joe Mosca.
Representative Burrows.
Dorothy Sinclair.
Those, yeah, too late.
Representative Burrows?
Yes.
Which candidate?
Which candidate would you like to vote for?
You may have to tell the name, John.
It's,
I thought you said something.
She did.
which candidate would you like to vote for, Representative Burrows? C-U-N-M.
She locked it up.
Okay, we'll move on. Representative McElwain.
Mr. Mosca.
Representative Page.
Joe Mosca.
Chairman Avalani.
Honorable G. Chandler, please.
Representative Burrows, are you there?
She's frozen. I think she's out of service.
Mr. Clark, what is the vote?
double checking my figures here, sir. Nine to, from Mr. Chandler, I'll go Chandler. And 1, 2, 3, excuse me, 10 for Mr. Chandler. And 1, 2, 4, 3, 4 for the other candidate. And we're waiting for Representative Burrows.
I move voting be closed. Since you're gonna wait for out till they get out of the tunnel.
Understood. We can certainly revisit that when she goes back on, if she'd like to vote. Having Mr. Chandler receiving the majority of votes from the delegation, is hereby appointed to fill the remaining term for District 1 as County Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. To the other gentlemen, thank you for putting your names in. You both have impressive resumes, and we thank you for taking the time to join us today. We'll be looking forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get your minutes. All right, we have a supplemental budget hearing. We'll open the public hearing on that. Any public input for that?
David Stewart, County Sun, just wondering if you could just briefly, I see a lot of numbers here, like, well, why do we need the supplemental? It looks like there's a lot of changes. Was it a matter of under budgeting for these certain items? Like, were the costs going up faster than expected? Can you just fill us in on the why, roughly?
That would be this is the commissioner's request for supplemental budget, so they're going to fill us in after the public input.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I'll give you some leeway when that happens.
Appreciate it.
Any further public input for the public hearing? We'll close the public hearing and decide and move on to the supplemental budget request. So, I want to know why we are here. From the commissioners, why we are here.
Most of these items were approved at the budget meeting. But our accounting people requested that we change the appropriation method. And we need to put the money that we appropriated for this, which was in a separate account, back in the basically general fund, and appropriate it from there. That's my understanding of what we need to do.
So how did we end up with $18 million surplus?
How did we end up with I believe it was an $18 million surplus. If you'd like to answer that.
You had a hand raised, I didn't know if you wanted to acknowledge the hand, or if you want me to speak to this.
I want to know how we ended up with $18 million undesignated fund. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people have the same question.
Sure. And we had touched on it at your March delegation meeting. ARPA funding was in a separate account. It was considered a grant. It was set to expire on December 31st, 2024 if we did not have it obligated. Originally, the ARPA money was going to be used mainly for this building and the water system improvement project. When this building didn't move forward, the county stood to lose the money that was set aside for this. The CFO at the time brought forward the idea of the standard allowance, which we're allowed to take, and essentially it replaces, it's a revenue replacement. I don't want to confuse folks. So Money was raised in the 2024 budget for nursing and agency. The ARPA money was taken as revenue replacement to fund those two things. So the money originally budgeted for nursing and agency then lapsed into the general fund in an amount around $7 million. And that's how we have an $18 million fund balance instead of 11. Rough numbers. Does that take it really slow?
Yes, we're going to take it step by step.
Okay.
Representative Cordelli.
Thank you. I was wondering if we have something in writing from the auditors regarding the surplus from the last fiscal year.
Yes, and I had handed that out at your last delegation meeting. I'd be happy to pull it up and share it on the screen to verify what the undesignated fund balance currently is, yes.
It was emailed to us?
I believe it was handed out at the delegation meeting.
We didn't have anything from the auditors at that time. We were just told that it was their $18 million general surplus.
Thank you.
1 second. Who authorized the transfer from the ARPA funds into our budget to give us a $7 million surplus?
I'm going to step over and allow Representative Burrows to come back into the meeting. The CFO wrote a letter to council, our council, suggesting that we take the standard allowance. They agreed that that's a method that you can use. It was done and it was reported as such to ARPA.
Well, that's all well and good. There's only two ways that our budget can be changed. One is through supplemental budgeting, which is what we're trying to do right now, and the other one is through transfers. So when was our budget changed to allow a $7 million surplus? It wasn't on any of our revenue sheets or any of our budgeting sheets for 4 months.
Understood, it was done before your public budget hearing. The vote was taken by the commissioners on November 21st
To change our budget on November 21st?
to take the standard allowance, yes.
That's not what I asked. I asked why, who, and when our budget was changed.
So your budget hasn't been changed, and that's why we have a supplemental budget hearing today.
Supplemental budget hearing is for 2025. Our 2024 budget was changed. Who changed our budget and when?
I'll have to get back to you. I was not involved in that.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Without playing the gotcha game and all this other stuff, I want to know why we weren't given transfers. I want to know when it happened and who authorized it.
And unfortunately, the chair of the commission and the CFO at the time are not here to answer those questions. Commissioner Parker wasn't here, and one commissioner. I don't know how to get that information. The commissioners voted on the standard allowance.
Let me rephrase the question.
Sure.
So somebody had to physically transfer $7 million from the ARPA fund, which was off book, into our budget. When was that done?
We'll get back to you. I wasn't involved in it. The CFO handled everything.
We are here for a supplemental budget that has been on the books for at least a month, and we don't have answers to a basic question of who changed our budget in '24 and what time.
I wasn't aware it was changed.
The information I have is the commissioners voted to accept the standard allowance on November 21st. And then because that meeting happened to actually bring about a lot of controversy whether or not the meeting was held legally, they again voted on December 7th to reiterate that they would take the standard allowance for the ARPA. Currently, the ARPA money sits in a separate account interest-bearing account. The auditor is using it as revenue replacement in '24.
Okay, so did the auditor change our budget?
We have additional revenue, so yes.
Okay, now we're getting closer. Who authorized the auditor to change our budget?
The commissioners, it's based on the commissioner's vote. The auditor has those minutes, she had that letter, she was told by the CFO that that's where what we were doing with those funds. And on that, used it for to prepare the 2024 audit.
And when did that start? When was Vashon and Comeau on site to change that budget?
February, I'd have to get you the exact date,
All right.
but February on schedule.
Okay, we didn't have a CFO in February, so who authorized Vashon and Comeau to change our budget without following statute?
It was done in 2024.
When?
November 21st and December 7th. The auditor takes the minutes, going over the grant fund, what's happened with this grant. At the end of the year, I have to do a single audit, and it was shown that the commissioners had voted to take the standard allowance, thereby putting that money into the undesignated fund balance.
It could only get in the undesignated fund balance by going through the budget. Otherwise, it would have to be transferred. Why did we not get transferred?
I don't know why you didn't get transfers in 2024.
We can get transfers in 2025. We could have got it in January, February, March. To close the books. And if the auditors weren't here until February and made that suggestion, who authorized them to change our budget to force through $7 million under the standard allowance for ARPA? Because ARPA money, if we're going to do with that, is to replace lost revenue. We didn't have lost revenue, we had appropriations within that budget. And the only way to change appropriations, as I stated earlier, was through a supplemental budget with a public hearing or transfers. So who changed our budget and who authorized it in '24?
There were no transfers in 2024.
Okay. Representative Cordelli, you want to head off for a few minutes?
I was just wondering, the $7 million from ARPA that was somehow moved into our regular budget, those ARPA funds, were they identified for any particular projects, or was it a general ARPA funding award to the county, and this was remaining ARPA funds that had not been utilized for specific projects?
I think the total that we approved, we received was $9 million and change.
9.5, yeah.
So through the process of 4 years, keeping it off our budget, as designated by Treasury, which is their guidance, there was some expenditures made for projects, which left a balance of $7,400,000 or so, $7,400,000 or so.
Follow up?
Follow up.
Yes. So out of an ARPA award of $9 million, approximately $2 million was utilized for projects, and the remaining $7 million is now the subject of moving somewhere along the line to the county budget. Am I correct in that?
You are correct. That's where we are right now. That's what we're trying to flush out.
Thank you.
Damon, did you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to be part of this conversation?
Yes, thank you. Damon Steer, County Son, thank you very much. So, a couple of things occur to me. So, we're in a unique situation of having too much money, or are we in danger of the feds coming down and saying, hey, you guys didn't spend that money as we told you to, and we might lose that $7 million? I'm a little confused. Do we have too much, or are we in danger of losing $7 million?
Never had too much.
You and I share the same question. which is why I want to make sure that, one, it was done correctly, which to me it hasn't been done correctly because in order to change a budget, there's only 2 ways to do it. That's been approved. And Treasury also has guidance on usage of funds. And it's not to go into financial reserves, which is where it seems to be right now.
And this is where this sheet is where is proposed we spend the 7 million?
Some of it is and some of it is not. Some of it is just, looks like the victim witness is just, it looks like we're not getting a grant for that, so we have to fund that. Some of it is capital expenditures that we've approved previously under the guise that ARPA funds were still maintained separately. And getting to the bottom of our original discussion is where we are right now.
Are we asking the taxpayer for more money, or are we just sorting out what happened with the $7 million?
Bingo. Sorting out where and why the $7 million was added to our 2024 budget.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Typically, when there's unanticipated revenue, we haven't in the past come to the delegation and asked for a transfer or any change to the budget. We've just accepted unanticipated revenue, such as unclaimed property that we received, additional revenue in the nursing home. So I'm a little confused about the revenue, having to do a transfer to accept unanticipated revenue. It's not something we've done in the past.
ARPA funds we've accepted when they first came out, 2020. So it's not unanticipated revenue. It's revenue we've had for at least 5 years now. Or a fund that we've had for 5 years, so it's not unanticipated. Unanticipated is a refund check coming in from the insurance company, something coming back that we expended for that we got a rebate on, something like that. That's unanticipated. This is not. But thank you for the question. Representative Belcher.
Thank you. Not being an expert, I suppose this question is for anyone here who can answer it. Just a process question. If Treasury is given guidance that this shouldn't be placed in our budget, just process-wise, is there any concern, or should we have any concern, about now reallocating those funds directly from our budget to some program, or do we need to do some intermediary step to get those funds where they need to belong out of our budget and then allocate them? Is there any worry there about proceeding directly to that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my concern.
Gotcha.
Representative Woodcock.
Thank you. Just informational.
Please.
Is there any, when the ARPA funds were initially, I want to be sure I'm factually correct. When the ARPA funds initially brought forward, I thought, my assumption at the time was that was going to be primarily for the rehabilitation of this particular site, of the annex. The new, check if I'm wrong, Chuck, I think you told me this last time. When the new board came in, you folks decided for some reason, I don't know what that was, not to go ahead with the new annex. So is that the $7 million?
Part of it.
Did we ever?
Yep, please.
Did we ever get a reason why the money we had requested and allocated to convert this annex was stopped?
It's a great question.
Is there, may I ask?
Certainly.
Okay. Commissioner McGee, a couple of months ago, when I was still lost on the same issue and not lost on again, when you came on the board, you and, I don't think Mr. Parker was there, then you and, my question was, why was the annex project stopped?
I was never comfortable that it was fully funded, because some of the money is a reimbursement, and some of it we don't have yet. We still don't have the $2 million from Senator Shaheen's office. To go for money, we have to actually spend the whole $2 million before they reimburse us for $800,000. And I just didn't, it was my feeling, or the committee's feeling, that it wasn't a good move to go forward with this project. It wasn't an urgent, had to happen project. Right now, there's potentially still the $2 million from Senator Shaheen's office, correct? it's still pending, that we can use, that we would potentially have to use specifically, I believe, for this building, for the rehab. And we would do a limited rehab versus rehabbing the whole building. That was our plan. But we didn't want to end up in a situation where we would in fact have to go back to the taxpayers and ask them for more money.
Paul?
Thank you. And I'm not to debate this because so you were the person that decided not to go because you were concerned that Senator Shaheen's office is not going to reimburse you? Is that basically what you're telling me?
Well, myself, I'm Commissioner Parker, it's our job, we're the commissioners. I mean, it falls on us. If it doesn't happen the way it's supposed to happen, we're the ones that are gonna take the heat, so, yeah, my decision.
I just have a concern that typically that's not unusual for grants to come forward and be reimbursed. And I don't like the phraseology that you're concerned that Senator Shaheen's office was not going to follow through on their promise to do that. I think it's a poor judgment on your part and the commissioner's part. Your determination, in my mind, your determination to stop the annex for whatever reason, that's your determination. But to question it on the reliability of Senator Shaheen's office, I question that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Welcome, Representative Cornelli.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to follow up on a question from the reporter, or a comment that the $7 million, was that going to come from the taxpayers? And I think in the proposed supplemental budget that we have, there is an increase in spending of $7 million from $42 million to $49 million. However, part of that is made up from the commissioner's proposal to take $400,000 or $500,000 additional from the undesignated fund balance that we have no hard copy of what that fund balance is. Is that correct?
From these numbers, that seems correct to me so far. Representative Bucco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, in March, when we took the final vote on the budget, the last day, we asked how much was left in the undesignated fund. And I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was around $7 million. But that was for the coming 25 budget. Is that correct?
Coming out of the 24 budget, we had $11 million surplus.
11 million.
And we still had $7 million in the ARPA fund, which was off-book. When I say off-book, it's not part of our regular budget process. That was the guidance from Treasury when we got it, was to not have it be part of the budgeting process so we could be tracked purposely.
Yes.
In case it was ever audited, to make sure that we were doing the right thing with the money.
Yes. If I might
Follow up,
just say,
yes.
The instructions from the Treasury rules from the very beginning said that it had to be in a separate account.
That is correct.
How, may I?
Question?
No, it's not a question, it's a comment. If my understanding, according to our previous CFO, was since we used that money to pay expenses for the county, the money that was appropriated for expenses becomes not ARPA money, it becomes surplus money. That was my understanding. And I questioned whether it was okay to do that. And according to our CFO at the time, she said it was. And I have to rely on her because she's got the accounting background, and I do not.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just to refresh the delegation's memories, last year we had for a couple of years actually, we had the County Lands Committee, which Representative Page, myself, and former Representative McConkey were on, voted certain funds or recommended certain funds to be used for the annex repair or modification, which I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but for some reason I thought it was around $7 million. You can correct me.
Yeah, 8 million, which I thought was exorbitant.
Okay. So that was recommended for certain modifications, but it was not for the full renovation of the facility, and we mentioned different reasons for it. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that as a delegation, we did recommend spending a certain amount of money, and then when the final budget came around for the next year, the recommendation was that we were not going to move forward with the project from the commissioners. Is that not correct, Representative Craig?
That sounds right.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that was out there, that we'd recommend a certain dollar amount in the $7 million range, and then at the end of the year, when the commissioners voted, that we decided not to move forward for a number of reasons. Thank you.
Representative Comeau.
A recommendation is nice, but the last vote of this delegation was to move forward with the annex, at least in phase 1. So I'm not sure about any recommendation, but if there's any ARPA money as part of that plan, then to say that this was unused ARPA money, I don't think is correct. So I'm confused about the ARPA money, the transfer, how it got to the general budget, and the undesignated fund balance. Those are my 3 areas of concern.
They continue to be a concern. Representative Belcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you'll allow, I have a two-fer that I think is really going to help clarify things for me. And I'll direct these questions to you.
Certainly.
First question, I haven't been here all that long, but a few years. In my time, I don't ever recall this situation where the budget has been changed in such a manner without going through one of those 2 processes. Is that correct? In the last few years, this has not been a thing that's happened before that we're aware of?
That was correct. This change in statute originated from 2015 when we started having problems with the undesignated fund actually not being there when we went to use it.
Okay.
So, but also I think a few of the long-term members will remember how we got there. Representative Bucco was...
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'd like to move that we start our this year's audit and with the auditors, excuse me, the auditors that we have now, either a special assignment or it's early to start the budget, the audit, but I think we can hire them for a special, somebody's got to look at this thing and find out where this money went.
I like your line of thinking right now. Hang on to that. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that I agree completely with Representative Cordelli. We did make a recommendation from the committee, and the entire delegation did vote to approve that the project for renovation.
Right. I think it was based on the numbers and the plan put forward by the commissioners. I don't know about any recommendation of the Lands Committee, but it was a county commissioner's plan and funding mechanism for this project.
Correct.
Yes.
Representative Belcher. Thank you. And Representative Woodcock.
Just to follow up on my thought there, based on the fact that this is an unusual occurrence, trying to figure out how to move forward. It's not clear to me right now, so I want to ask, maybe I've missed something. Is it clear to you the precise when and how of the change?
It's not, which is why we're here.
Copy that. Then I would, if there was a motion, I would second that motion then to move forward.
Yep, Representative Woodcock.
It's not relative to that motion.
It's just on motion right now.
Okay, thank you. Can I just follow up on one more question, Commissioner McGee?
Please.
Thank you. Just, I want to go back to the annex and the change of strategy. Did Senator Shaheen's office have a notified formally in writing that you folks weren't going to do this as a courtesy?
I'll answer the question. I don't believe so, because that part of it we would have used. We would have used for, first of all, we applied for the money 2 years ago, and they told us we had it last July, and we don't have it yet. So to your point that we have, that I shouldn't be worried about the money coming, that's easy to say, but I'm still the one that has to decide if we don't have the money, and we don't have the money. Right this minute, as we sit here, we do not have the money. And they say we're gonna get the money, maybe we'll get the money. When I see the money, then we'll have the money. We do not have the money right this minute, and it was $2 million.
Follow?
Thank you. That money, if I'm correct, that money was predicated on being utilized, as Reverend Cordelli said, being utilized in the rehabilitation, a portion of rehabilitation in the end. Chuck, I'm not questioning your decision not to do it. I'm just questioning, it's asking, the money hasn't come, it's reimbursed, you haven't spent the $2 million, but it hasn't been reimbursement. Senator Shaheen's office, I think, was thinking we were doing a rehab project. And since you're not doing it, you made that determination months ago, has your commissioners had the courtesy to extend to the senator a note saying we're not doing that project, so please, thank you.
I believe so. Melissa will answer that.
Been in constant contact with Senator Shaheen's office, specifically Chuck Henderson. I'm well aware of what's happening. Still planning on using the $2 million to do the key parts of the building that were important to Senator Shaheen, including the community space, the kitchen. Of course, it would all have to go out to bid to see how far that money would go. But well aware that the project is still being considered. And as for not knowing if the money will come, it's a pretty volatile time right now, and especially at the federal level, when you're expecting that the money that was allocated for your program is actually going to funnel all the way down to you.
That I agree with you.
So,
The federal level is really questionable.
but we've been assured that our money is still in the queue, we're still well qualified, the project still has the support of the senator.
Yeah.
Do you have another follow-up?
Yes, I agree with you, but I'm not suggesting that the money had anything to do with the change in presidency. I think typically they always reimburse. I can understand now how you consider all federal money, any federal money. I get that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. 1 second. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to make sure I understand this right, because we made a recommendation last year on the annex. We voted on approving certain work to be done on the annex. I just want to be clear, because based on what you just said, there's certain work that we still plan to go forward on the annex. Is there a clear scope on that yet?
The only thing right this minute, and our executive coordinator can clarify that if I'm mistaken, is that we put funds, we included funds in the jail roof project to rehab the roof on this building, or not really rehab it, to do maintenance on the roof of this building. That was the only, to my knowledge, that's the only thing we've approved.
So the scope has to be developed, the reduced scope.
Follow-up, Representative Brown.
Thank you. So I'm trying to make sure I understand this. I haven't spent a year and a half doing this. So we don't have a clear scope of work right now on what we plan to do on the annex, because I thought we approved this as a delegation, and it went to the commissioners, and some of those monies were supposed to be allocated to doing that scope. Is there a scope of work or not yet?
No.
Because we voted on it, right?
We still have the original scope, and it was sectioned out, and the delegation approved A, B, and F on recommendation of the subcommittee.
Right.
One of those sections, two of those sections, this money could potentially do that. However, now the commissioners have to develop a reduced scope, because we don't have this anymore. Because this went from $6 million to 8.8 over the course of 2 years, and it was unfeasible.
Please.
Final follow-up after the final.
Thank you. So we voted on $8 million, whatever it was. And so we assumed that funding was going to the commissioners, and that was what was going to be acted on within the budget, correct? But that's not where we are now, right?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Murray, did you want to chime in on something real quick?
Yeah, as far as scope for the remainder of this building, I'm not going to speak to that, but in this list, we do have a scope of roof repair to this building. That was authorized by the delegation last year as part of the ARPA fund. And this list of 23 items, I have no less than 10 that are directly related to what I'm going to be doing in one form or the other. The jail roof project, the roof repair to this building, the asbestos abatement, which was approved. We just purchased or authorized the purchase of a wheelchair van from this money, a multitude of other things. And we've got a lot of wheels in motion right now, a lot of wheels. And some very important ones. And I'm going to put the jail roof at the top of the list. They're mobilizing, and they're going to start by the end of this month. And if this money is not approved today, shit's going to fly. There's going to be trouble. So I want to emphasize that as far as this building is concerned, the only thing that I have is the roof. As far as future plans, they're still being discussed and nothing's on the table yet.
Thank you.
Hope that answers the question.
Yep, Representative Cordelli.
Pass for now.
Thank you. Representative McClure.
Just to clarify what Representative Brown was saying, my understanding was that we cleared this project based on the viability of the roof, and that passed the engineering inspection. I guess we haven't done that work yet, but I thought the whole annex project was contingent on that.
3 sections.
Pardon?
3 sections, A, B, and F.
Yeah,
I
well,
think it
but
was.
the first section, am I wrong?
You're not wrong. I think Bob is talking about general maintenance for this building for the roof.
For the roof,
not any
yes.
repairs.
Yes.
Just general maintenance.
Yeah, a lot of these items that I'm talking about, if I may I continue?
Please.
A lot of these items that I'm talking about, we were going to put in the capital improvement budget for 2025, but based on the recommendation from you people, we took them out and we put them into the ARPA funding to be able to spend some of that money down, which is what we did. So, yeah, did that answer your question?
Back on, Representative Cordelli.
Thank you. I mentioned 3 areas of concern before, and we have a 4th. The annex. What the heck is going on here, right? We passed phase 1 and phase 2, right? We heard that the new commissioners did not want to move forward. Now I'm hearing, well, there is a scope of work possibly for part of it. What the heck, where are we with this? With any of this?
Great questions.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. And we're not getting anywhere. So, Representative Bucco, you had a question?
I beg to differ. I don't know what this is all about. I don't know what we're doing here. You people approve the money for these projects. It's not a matter of we don't have the money. It's an accounting issue, and I get that, okay? But the money was approved. You approved all these projects. So now what are we doing here? We're gonna discuss not approving the money? Is that what we're doing here? The money's here. We have the money. So what are we doing? I don't, the scope of the project, I'm the commissioner. If the project goes bad, if I have to go back to the taxpayers, I'm the one that's responsible, not you people, if it goes south. And I'm not gonna start a project unless I make damn sure I've got all the money. And we do not have all the money, regardless of whether it's promised, not promised, or whatever.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of information, that sheet that was handed out last time that was provided by the auditor is on the screen. I apologize, I can't make copies, but you can see the unassigned fund balance is here.
Steve, can you read that number? Can you read that number?
18,961,683. That's from the auditor, I know.
Representative Page, we haven't heard from you yet, sir.
I'm just trying to get to sort of the center of what we're trying to figure out here, because I think We can all talk about whether we supported the annex project as scoped or not. Ultimately, it was the commissioner's decision, right? We approved the funding to support it, and they made a decision, you know, based on their own discretion whether or not to proceed.
Correct.
I think that's clear. So, speaking only as one person, I would have been very supportive of the choice they made not to lose $7 million of funding that could support work at the county here. That's just, I would have supported that. So my sense is that really the crux of the issue is that the transfer was not made, right? That's where there was a missing step, and that's what we're kind of stuck on. Am I correct in that? So I guess trying to be constructive here, you know, what step do we need to take to and I guess just to confirm once again, my understanding of what we're talking about, the fear is that if we approve these projects, which I hope most of us support most of them at least, that the money is somehow in jeopardy because there was a missing step in the process, and we don't want to move forward with these projects if we're not sure that we are airtight on how the process went. Is that my understanding of what the concern is?
That is my major concern.
So if we can just kind of cut through the rest of it, you know, what step do we need to take to button up this funding to make sure that we are secure? I mean, for me, all of this is, you know, we can talk about whether we agree with one another's decisions, but for me, that's the sole issue I'm concerned about right now, is making sure that this money that we're spending is ours to keep.
I completely agree, and that's my concern as well.
Okay.
Because if there's a change or an audit in a year or two, somebody comes in and says, you shouldn't have done it this way, you need to repay all this money, who's on the hook for that is the taxpayers again, which means it makes us look bad.
And is there a recommendation for how to resolve that question?
I don't know if there's a recommendation that can solve that, given the current information that we've been provided so far. Representative McDonald, we haven't heard from you yet, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Murray,
Yes, sir.
on this list, what is priority? The jail roof repair, they're getting ready to start?
Yeah, the jail roof, absolutely, they're mobilizing.
What else? Anything else on here that's critical?
The asbestos abatement for this building.
We don't know what we're going to do in the building. The stuff we need right now that's got to be done.
The laundry addition at the nursing home.
Is that based on what we were going to do in this building? Were we going to move it over there, or?
Yeah, I'm taking the laundry from here and moving it over there.
Okay, on the original plans, was the laundry going to stay here if this is renovated?
Yes.
What else?
Water project, Bob.
Well, he asked me my priorities. I'm not involved with the water project.
Okay.
My priorities are items number 1, 3.
Okay, can you identify what they are? So we're all on the
Sure.
same boat.
Number 1 is the jail roof project, $700,000. Number 3 is the fire panel that we had to replace in this building. That was $3170.
Okay, where is that on the list, Bob? I'm sorry.
Number 3.
What's the number, sir? 100 or?
We have.
I'm looking at this sheet, which you all should have.
Okay, the second one's the replacement of
I don't have that one.
of the panel.
Okay. So the 1, 2, 3 of those, you're taking off this?
Yes.
He's taking off this, John. Thank you.
Okay. So we've got the jail roof, the fire panel annex, and what was the other one?
The $1,500 dumpster charge for the annex. That's all that's been and done. The asbestos abatement, number 6.
Okay, just the critical ones that they're all lined up to get started to go that we really need. 1, 3, and 4.
Wheelchair van.
One, three.
Wheelchair van, number 9.
4.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a point of order, please?
Sure.
Should-
What's the point of order?
I appreciate Representative McDonald's questions, but I believe they should be addressed to the chairman as to the commissioner's
I'm sorry.
priorities.
We're asking Director Murray his priorities. Thank you for your point of order.
That would go through the commissioners. Thank you.
Why?
The actual spending and the lining out of the priorities would go through the commissioners, no?
Mr. Murray, did you have this discussion with the commissioner, so what your priorities were?
I think everything on this list is a priority, that's why it's on the list. Whether one thing gets done before another, sure, I could prioritize it that way, but all of these items are important.
Thank you. You may continue.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is the follow-up to Rep. Page's inquiry earlier. It seems that the crux of the matter is the accounting. Did the money get transferred and allocated appropriately according to the rules? Being that the auditors are in charge to review compliance with those very rules, I believe the chairman and I asked for a letter from the auditors clarifying that we are in compliance with those rules. So why don't we, as a body, request that very letter from the auditors themselves, ensuring that we are in compliance with those very rules, rather than us just throwing this around as if we are.
And I believe I had shared this, what's on the screen with the delegation chairman, the response I received in the email from the auditor, which I'm sharing the screen because
So why isn't it on letterhead and signed by somebody? This is just a letter that anybody could have made.
it's an email from the auditor. You can examine my laptop. I can call her and ask her to put it on letterhead.
That's usually how it's done when we request a letter from somebody.
Fair.
Representative Belcher.
Yes, if I may, just to help, I think, if I'm correct about this, I think I'll clarify the issue for us too. Am I wrong to suggest that previously this body, this delegation, did in fact vote to delegate or to expend ARPA funds to fix the jail roof?
When we were under the guise that ARPA funds were still available in a separate fund and were not added to our budget, which we did not find out till after our budget was closed.
Thank you. That answers the second question.
Thank you. Representative Cordell.
Thank you. With the $7 million in ARPA fund, according to this list of uses supplied to us today, would it be correct to say if the money is moved by one mechanism or another to the general budget, that the uses here of the $7 million would basically kill the annex project in any way, shape, or form?
It would kill quite a few projects.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Representative Bucco, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With this much confusion over where this money is, I don't see how we can spend any of it. So I would still move that we hire the auditors to do a special forensic audit on this fund, because we have to be straightened out before we spend more than we're going to get.
I would just say it doesn't have to be a forensic audit at this point.
I would just like clarification and a guarantee. Representative Smith. Please.
So I'll make the motion to request a letter of clarification from the auditors regarding the discussion today and the accounting practices that have occurred.
That is the who, what, where, when, and why.
I would second.
Thank you. Do you want us to discuss any further?
I would just say, in order to make sure we unwind this properly, we really do need the exact accounting for dates, names, votes, and how any of this occurred, so we can unroll it properly, so we can move forward.
I agree. Representative Page.
I'm just seeking clarification about what communications have already happened with the auditor and whether this is necessary. You know, I'm trying to understand what has already transpired in terms of requesting clarification.
I sent the question to our auditor and she replied in an email. I just copied and pasted it onto a blank page so that you can see it better. I have the email here, signed by Tammy Webb of Vashon, UK. I just did that so you could see it better.
And was the question regarding whether a transfer was necessary part of that query?
No. I wasn't asked that question.
Okay.
Actually, that question has been mentioned several times since this came up.
I don't have that.
Representative Brown.
I asked to move the question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
On the motion.
Certainly. You would have to take a vote if we do that.
I asked to move the question, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Clerk, call the roll on moving the question.
First was,
Nope, we have to vote on moving the question.
okay, I've got to jump to a piece of paper then.
Yep.
I ask a question before we move on the motion.
Okay, that was Mr. President Brown.
Is this letter going to take the place of an audit to find out where the money is, or I'm not sure what the letter is.
The letter is hopefully going to clarify all the questions that we've asked today and continuously asked.
I can withdraw that motion, Mr. Chairman, if we can vote. It's up to you.
Just making my day longer, Representative Brown. Mr. Representative Brown has withdrawn his motion. Any further discussion on the motion to have the auditors explain this to us? Representative Woodcock.
Thank you. I just want to be clear. I heard explanation, I heard forensic, I heard a variety of options here. Can we be clear on what is exactly we're requesting? I understand you're clear, I'm not clear.
Oh, I'm not clear. On what we're requesting, yes, I'm clear on what we're requesting. It's not as detailed as I would like, but it's a start. And I think that the auditors will probably attend a meeting at some point.
So, and the clarity, if I may,
Please.
just the clarity of the motion. So what exactly the motion is, what you want, whoever's doing it.
Representative Smith, would you like to
Yes.
expound on that?
It was for the auditors to issue a letter to us on letterhead, ensuring that we are in full compliance with the transfers and accounting rules as required by law.
But also a who, what, when, and where.
Of when that happened, why it happened, and that we're in compliance with ARPA funds as well.
Is that the new motion?
That is the motion.
I think the law, when you say the law, I think it encompasses all of that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure they can tell you if it's in compliance with ARPA or not. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm not sure they would tell us that. I asked that question, and I did not get an answer.
And here we are. We're back to square one. We have no assurances that the ARPA money was processed properly. We have no assurances that this money will not be clawed back by the feds in a subsequent audit. It is not clear that we have been told everything up to this point. So,
Well, Mr. Chairman, may I?
go ahead. Mr.
You approved the Manage project based on that money, so now you're saying, now you're going back and saying, you don't know if you got the money, you don't think we have the money, after you approved the money previously? What am I missing?
Commissioner McGee?
Yes.
The money for the ARPA project that was here
Yes.
has been added to our nursing home budget in '24.
Okay.
Okay? We approved the ARPA funds for this project in May of '24. So between that point and this point, the ARPA money has been moved out of its fund into our general fund and under undesignated monies, which is why we have almost $19 million in a surplus. So, the money, for the ARPA money that we approved in May should have either been encumbered. It should have been encumbered in '25 for that project, or used, and it was subsequently used for a different purpose. So either way, a transfer should have been either in May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April.
Whatever,
Should have been a transfer from this delegation to change our budget.
I was not in charge of this, you know it. You know I was not in charge of this. I get it, you're not happy, but I was not in charge of this. The CFO did all of this, and I was not included on any of the emails that were involved in it, even though I was a commissioner. And I don't think you want to go there, but.
Commissioner McGee, you've been chairman of the commissioners since January 9th.
Since January, that's correct.
And you've been a member of this, we appointed you when?
I'm not gonna debate this. I'm not gonna debate this. We have outstanding obligations. You guys approved them already. If you don't wanna approve the money, fine. You can figure out how to pay the bills.
Mr. Chairman, can I have two quick things? As far as auditing all of this, we go through the process of a single audit. So that is included in the 2024. Secondly, I know you're discussing having a letter. I do have the auditor on the Zoom if you had, she can either listen in and be present or she's available.
I think the auditor's a little late, so we've asked our question. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the vote?
Okay. What I believe and what we're voting on is the clarification of discussion, who, not when, and where. What has transpired up to this date? A letterhead full, that we're in full compliance of the law and ARPA funds.
Thank
That's
you.
everyone's understanding?
Everyone's understanding.
Representative Cordelli?
Yes.
Representative Taylor?
Yes.
Representative Smith?
Yes.
Representative Belcher?
Yes.
Representative Brown?
Yes.
Representative Hamlin?
Yes.
Representative Crawford?
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Patnell?
Yes.
Representative Bucco?
Yes.
Representative Woodcock?
Yes.
Representative Burrows?
Yes.
Representative McAleer?
Yes.
Representative Page?
No.
I'm sorry, I can't use it.
No.
And Mr. Chairman,
Oh, yes.
motion passes 14-1.
Thank you. Since the auditor has now joined us, is there a question as to what the delegation is requesting?
I just sent it to her in an email because I don't think she was there for the whole conversation.
She's in the corner.
She's just looking at it. She said, who are these idiots?
Her name is Mrs. Webb, and she's not sure if you were addressing that to her.
Ms. Webb, thank you for joining us at this late juncture of our discussion for the ARPA, how the ARPA funds were enveloped into our 2024 budget. Could you shed some light on that?
The reason why the remainder of the ARPA funds were essentially used in 2024 is if you hadn't used them by December 31st, 2024, the county was going to need to send the monies back to the federal government, which for that significant amount of money, I didn't think you wanted to. So that was the choice. And since everything I had heard to previous to that by reading in board minutes and whatever, that you were opting to use the allowance method for the $10 million, that you could spend it on whatever you wanted for general government services, essentially.
Okay. And how did that get into our budget without transfers or supplemental budget requests?
There was a transfer. What we did is we took the monies out of the ARPA funds and transferred it into essentially the nursing home fund, and just called it a transfer in.
Okay, when was that done?
It was done during the audit process.
When was that done? What day and time?
Oh, geez, back in March. It was before the cost report was due.
The cost report was for who?
Sorry, say that again?
The cost reporting was for closing the year out or for closing, for reporting to whom?
The cost report is to report to the state of New Hampshire regarding the activities on your nursing home. But I believe the ARPA funds do not affect anything. They ignore any outside grants, I believe.
Okay, so you transferred that money from the ARPA funds, which was a separate designated fund, into the nursing home fund
Yes,
in March.
yes.
And who
I
told
mean, I
you?
didn't physically transfer, I just made a journal entry.
Correct, the journal entry, and who authorized you to do that?
Speaking with others there, that is what I assumed it sounded like was the decision. I mean, there were projects that were talked about being done using the ARPA funds, and if that's the case, if you had a contract in place, I would have left the monies, but I was told that there were no contracts in place yet. So you had to either spend the monies or have it obligated. And since there was nothing in writing to obligate the monies, you would have had to return the balance to the federal government.
Correct, so why wasn't the money for the water project that has been talked about and approved, and the nursing home annex project that was talked about and approved, not encumbered or used or even restricted at that point, so we could just do this with transfers from those funds because they have been allocated to a long-term capital projects?
I can undo what's been done if there is in fact a contract in place. I was told that the annex project was put on hold because of things that were discovered. So it was put on hold and that they're potentially not going forward at this time. I mean, if you can provide me with something else and want to undo this, I can. It's not a problem. The only, and I don't think that the federal government's going to come back, is that there was a final reporting on the ARPA due also at the end of April. And even in that, it mentioned that the rest of whatever how many millions it was that was used to offset nursing home costs, the payroll, and your agency/registry costs.
Okay, that would be correct. However, there wasn't a revenue shortage. It was actually a change to our budget that gave us a $7 million surplus. So are we, by statute, are we in compliance with changing our budget?
I would say yes. I mean, you're allowed to use it for general government purposes. It doesn't mean that you had to necessarily have a deficit that particular year. But again, if you had a contract in place for these other things, just send me a copy and I can easily change what was done.
I wish you were here earlier, because you would have heard a different discussion. So this was done in March.
Yes.
Okay, and it was approved, and you got your approval to do this by whom?
I mean, I was talking with Melissa, I'm talking with Michelle, and I'm hearing that there was no contracts in place. So that was the only alternative I could come up with.
Okay, so this was your suggestion to them, and somebody said yes.
I guess you could say that.
Thank you. All right, well, that clears it up for me. So why were we not told in March that this was done? Not to you, Ms. Auditor.
What was done?
That our budget was changed in March. I hope that everyone can understand the questions that I have about this, to make sure that we're in compliance.
Excuse me?
Do you have a question for me or the auditor?
For you,
Please.
or maybe the auditor too. She mentioned that this move had to be made in December of 2024, and now we find out it's made in March, I'm assuming, of 2025. Is that make it still compliant, in compliance?
That's for the audit. Representative McAleer was asking a question for the auditor. Are we in compliance if we do this in in March instead of December?
Is this for me?
Please.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Excuse me, let me repeat the question. Earlier you said that in order to not have to return this money to the feds, a decision or an action had to be made in December, before December 31st of 2024, and yet you told us that the actual exchange was in, I'm assuming, March of 2025. Does that keep it in compliance?
The journal entry was made in March, but the actual expenditures for the nursing home payroll and those agency costs, those had all already been incurred in 2024. So I didn't hesitate to make the entry because they had been incurred.
Thank you.
President Belcher.
Thank you. That brings up a new question. I think this would be best directed at the auditor as well, which is, am I mistaken then to understand that these ARPA funds were in fact allocated for a purpose into the budget and therefore were all expended retroactively toward that purpose? Is that more or less what was occurring there? To the nursing home?
I mean, it wasn't in the budget, I understand that. But again, I didn't know an alternative way to deal with this excess millions of dollars and not have the county lose them.
I guess, may I rephrase?
Please.
Just to help clarify where I'm kind of going with this is, am I wrong in thinking that perhaps because we already allocated these ARPA funds in March retroactively to the budget under the nursing home, and that was allowable, that the ARPA funds have effectively been expended in that manner, and that the $7 million, is that actually, that surplus, is that actually still ARPA funds, or is that just budget now?
If I don't recall the amount, but that right now is in your surplus in the nursing home, or essentially your general fund, because they're combined for reporting purposes.
Do you understand where I'm going with this?
I understand what you're talking about, and I still don't agree with it.
Again, if you have a project in writing, a contract in writing, prior to December 31st, send me a copy and I will reverse the journal entry and make the changes.
Yeah, we want to do that.
We're not doing that. Representative Page, hold on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Webb, for being here. So today we are being asked to look at and approve a supplemental budget using these funds. The crux of the issue for, I think, many of us here is we want to make sure that we have followed the process that is necessary to have made this change, because we don't want a surprise down the road that we were out of compliance and this money somehow could be clawed back. I think the central question is whether this change, and people on the delegation can correct me if I'm misunderstanding, but that the change never came to the delegation for a transfer, and that approval was missing in that process, which my understanding is required by statute. So our fear is, in approving this supplemental budget, spending down all these dollars, our fear is, will we find out a year from now that we didn't have that money to spend? So I think there's a lot of other conversations going on the side here, but for me, being asked here to approve a long list of very important projects for the county we want to make sure we actually have that money. So the core question for me is, was that transfer necessary? The delegation approval on that transfer, was that necessary? And if we missed that step and it was necessary, are we at risk of losing this funding? So those are the central questions for me.
Okay. So I've had other counties that have transferred the monies without the delegation authorizing it. So I guess I would have to ask the question further up the chain here. But as you mentioned, you're discussing how to use the monies now, and that's where I have the problem, because you should have already had something in place, and that's where I'm getting confused. You would have had to have a solid contract in place with particular contractors, vendors, whatever, to use the monies and spend the monies as of December 31st, 2024.
Even it
So
having
it's like,
been, even though it's
right
no
now, it
longer-
sounds to me you're doing it after the fact, and that's
But we're taking it
not
out of,
allowed.
we're taking it out of the surplus now, correct?
Correct.
Because it has
Okay.
you took that option, as part of your audit process. I'm sort of absorbing that into the county budget as surplus, and now we are looking at expending that surplus as a supplemental budget for these projects, unrelated to what the ARPA money had been planned for.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
okay, understood.
So what we're just trying to make sure is, in making that transfer, we did all the steps necessary to be in compliance, and we're not gonna have a nasty surprise a year from now that money needs to be clawed back because that transfer was never approved. So that's the concern.
I do not think you're gonna have a surprise in a year. I think with the reporting that you had on it, that you were allowed to use the 10 million for whatever you wanted to, basically, and you completed that final report, and it listed everything that the monies were used for, I think that's the final compliance that you had on those ARPA funds. I don't believe there's gonna be any further reporting down the road.
Thank you.
And I did select a sample of various nursing home payroll and the agency/registry costs to make sure that those were legitimate costs and that were paid for. So I, crossed all my T's and dotted my I's and make sure everything there was fine. And like I said, other places, other counties that I audit, they would have me transfer the funds, even though it wasn't in the budget per se, and that had been approved by the delegation. So I didn't think that any further action was necessary on that part.
Thank you.
Representative Smith. Question?
No.
Representative Cordali.
Thank you.
Is this to the auditor? Ms. Webb?
Generally, yes.
Thank you.
What I think I heard you saying is that by December 31st, there needed to be a contract in place for use of these funds. And based on that, you moved the money with a journal entry from ARPA to the general county budget. Is that correct?
In March.
In March.
Yeah,
you did,
I
right.
moved the monies,
Right,
essentially.
right,
I
right.
transferred it to say that they were used in compliance with what they
Right.
were provided for.
And maybe this is a more general question. On this supplemental budget sheet that we have dated May 12th, there are clearly things on here that there was no plan for in 2024 by December 31st. And I'm not sure what the original $7 million was targeted for that were not expended because there was no contract in place, such as work on the annex. There are things on here that clearly was nothing contracted for in 2024. Increase in the commissioner's budget, victim services, increase in county facilities money, increase in social security for DPW. This is all 2025 stuff.
Correct.
So we're moving stuff that we're telling the federal government that we had contracts for in 2024 and we're therefore allowed to move into our general budget for 2025 use. But clearly that is not the case.
I don't believe that's correct.
Right.
So I don't know what,
Right.
I don't believe that's correct.
1 second.
I think I might clarify.
I want to say, Mr. Mosca, we usually don't take
yeah, right.
comments from outside
We
of
have an
public
auditor
comment.
answer that instead.
Why change it?
Give me 1 second. Representative Belcher.
Thank you. I have a slightly different take then. I think this might resolve that a little bit. We've just heard from the auditor, and this is going to be directed to you, Mr.
Certainly.
Chairman. We've just heard from the auditor that upon the moving of these funds via journal, that that she was furnished with a list that was a verified list of basically what these were being spent on at that time. So it was already money that was being expended. Has this body ever seen that list of what these were spent on as per what the auditor said?
No.
Okay.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a question for the auditor. Is the auditor aware that Carroll County has a specific statute in the county convention, RSAs, that govern, we have to do transfers through the delegation?
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
May I just briefly?
Please, Representative Belcher.
Thank you. So just to help clear things up, I think there's two paths that we're looking at depending on how we're viewing this. I think one path, which is what we're being possibly led to believe in one angle, is that these funds were essentially expended already. The money was moved in March, and therefore, if that's correct, the money that we're looking at today on the supplemental budget is not ARPA funds. Those were expended. This is now a surplus revenue. The trouble is that if that was done correctly, and if that is correct, and I think that's what we need to resolve, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
So, Ms. Webb, thank you again for being here with us. Now that you know that the county requires by statute the delegation approve any transfers to over $1,000, are we still in compliance to your knowledge?
I would think so. I mean, I can run this by the partner here and see what he says.
Because it is the chairman's belief that there should have been transfers furnished to the delegation to move that $7 million into our budget.
Mm-hmm.
There has been no such request up to this point.
Right, and at that point, it would have been too late.
That is correct.
So we're glad.
So we're in violation of state statute for transferring $7 million of funds into a budget that was approved by this delegation, which is a change of appropriations.
Well, then, do you have a list of what 7 million was contracted for then? Do you have specifically in writing saying the amount of the project and that it's approved by the county and by the contractor?
We have
That would total over 7 million.
Yep, we have votes that we approve the water project and the annex projects back in May to expend the remaining funds.
May of what, 24?
Yes,
With no vendor contracts.
but no vendor contracts up to this point. But there has been votes by this delegation to allocate those funds.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then send me copies of those and I will make the changes.
When did we terminate the contract with Siemens? Because we had a contract with them to do a certain scope of work, and it was being planned to be released over time, and we would be voting.
Question for the gentleman behind you.
Representative Brown.
Thank you. So when did we terminate the contract?
Now you're gonna worry.
My understanding is we had a contract that they would manage the whole process on the annex throughout the completion of the work as we authorize it. Did we formally terminate that contract when we changed the scope? Because I know there were certain dates we were trying to hit with them to release the funding and to move forward with scope of work. Because we did have a contract, I don't know if we ever terminated that contract with them.
I forget how did we actually do that?
For the date of the contract, our attorney notified Siemens that we wouldn't be moving forward.
Basically, because we had an ongoing contract that would have covered the entire scope of this project to renovate the whole project, and we were releasing it over time. And part of the whole discussion with them was, we need to release a certain scope at certain dates, but we had a contract with them to do and project manage the whole project initially. They had guaranteed pricing for
I
us.
think we had 2 letters in the account,
Yes.
and that was really all there was, contractual.
We had guaranteed pricing with them to do the work.
Yeah, I
It
think
wasn't locked in.
not really.
Everybody remain calm.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
I know what
we're
you're saying.
covered by that.
Yep.
It's not to exceed the amount that they were going to guarantee.
Yes, it didn't have to.
I really feel I can help.
Let's hear from them.
Quickly,
All right, so
Mr. Mosca, you're setting a precedent right now.
I really feel I can help. I have 20 years of experience dealing with the Federal Transportation Authority and grants and everything else, and I think we're hung up on the word transfer and the word journal entry. Transfer is usually done to cover something because you don't have enough money. A journal entry, you use after the fact to cover something you already spent and to free up money so that you can reutilize that money. So what's happened is you're saying money's been transferred, but it really hasn't been. The journal entry process is to take the money that you have, the 7.2 million that you would have lost, utilize it for something that's already been spent, and then that frees up that 7.2 million to be utilized for other things. So there's a big difference between the two words, and I think that's where people are being hung up. So it's not really a transfer, it's a journal entry. The journal entry process actually freed up the 7.2 million, which now is in your fund balance, and I think that's the big problem. Thank you, and I appreciate you, Chairman, for allowing me to speak.
Yes, thank you for clearing that up.
Yes.
Thank you. That was a great point.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
I didn't know we voted for.
Who is that?
Representative Burrows.
Representative Burrows, my apologies. Representative Burrows, please ask a question. For whom?
Okay, so just general question, and I apologize if this has been answered, it's hard to hear where I am, but who is supposed to be supervising, managing the audit process? I assume it was the CFO. I'm curious to know what role the commissioners were to play, or the county administrator. I mean, who was supposed to be overseeing this?
It's a great question. Who's overseeing the audit right now?
It was a combined effort.
So a combined effort for whom? I just want to make sure I direct my next question to.
The finance department and the commissioner.
Okay. So upon knowing that the changes were made in March, Commissioner McGee, why was the delegation not made aware that transfer was done?
I'm not sure why that was done. I will have to ask that question.
Okay. Any further questions for Ms. Webb? I guess we still have some work to do, Ms. Webb. So from the ARPA standpoint, the money that is now in our undesignated fund is free and clear to be spent on whatever we want with no repercussions from the federal government. Is that my understanding? Are you guaranteeing us that?
I believe that is correct.
I understand what I believe, but we're looking at spending $7 million today. I don't want to come back in a year, 2 years, 3 years that the federal government says, yeah, you know what, you shouldn't have done that, and we're requesting our money back. Who's going to foot the bill for that?
You met the requirement by spending it on general services, and it met the definition. And that's what you put on the final report that was submitted to the feds. I don't believe there's gonna be any repercussions.
Okay, do you have that, you have a copy of that final report?
Yeah, I was given a copy of it by Michelle. I don't remember how many pages it is, it could be like 25 pages, and it just outlines what the monies were spent on.
Okay, and that's gonna satisfy GASB 45?
54.
54 or 45?
GASB 45 is void.
Which one, is it 54 then? It's one of the GASBs, is it gonna qualify for that?
It complies with GASB, yeah.
Representative Belcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for taking another question. So I'm erring on the side of everything's been done correctly and according to law, and we're all good on that front, and this money actually has become part of our fund, our county fund. Is it then a problem that this money is physically not in our county account and it's in its own separate ARPA account still? That's not a problem?
No.
No.
I didn't hear anything.
She shook her head.
No, that's a no? It's not a problem?
Oh, is that addressed to me?
Yes, please.
Yes?
Yes, please.
Oh, yeah, a lot of times monies are expended out of one fund and still in a different fund at year end, and it's just, reported as, due to other funds. So it's basically just, you just have to physically transfer the funds, but yes, the monies are accounted for right now in your general fund. They're just physically sitting in the ARPA fund, which there is an additional $600,000 in interest that's still in the ARPA fund that could be used for whatever. Because interest on the ARPA funds did not have the restrictions that the regular ARPA funds had.
Thank you for the question. I
You could
believe
do
I just
whatever
heard.
with that money.
Thank you. I just want to clarify. I believe I just heard you say that the funds do have to be transferred. Does that mean these funds have to be transferred before expenditure on this potential budget we're looking at? They have to be transferred to our fund?
I don't think it's a requirement. I mean, essentially, it's accounted for in the general fund, and when you actually physically transfer the actual monies to the general fund, I don't think it makes a difference.
Okay.
As long as it's accounted for in the general fund right now.
Representative Cordelli.
I'm hearing that there is $600,000 of interest. Is that in the ARPA account, or in the general fund, or in the ether?
It's in the ARPA account. It's accounted for in Fund 200, I believe.
So it's not part of our undesignated fund balance?
Correct. It is not part of your general fund.
Can I ask why?
Because you only have the requirement to spend the full amount of the ARPA funds that have been received. And since that's what I was worried about, you guys losing, that was the balance that I transferred to the nursing home to offset the costs. The additional monies in ARPA I left alone because you could do whatever you wanted with that. It didn't have to go towards reducing or being used to offset nursing home payroll or agency/registry costs. I left it so that you could do whatever with it because there were no restrictions on that money.
Thank you. Representative Cordelli, follow up.
Yes, my problem with all this, I would vote no on any use of this $7 million right now. I have to leave. The problem as I see it is that the ARPA money is being moved based on some, to use Representative Bucco's word, some magic list that was given to the auditor of how that money
was being used, right? It clearly is not being used for any magical purposes, according to the supplemental list today, where we have increases for Social Security and whatnot that are clearly 2025 expenses that have nothing to do with ARPA funds that had to be accounted for by the end of 2024.
Correct.
They no longer have the restriction though. If the monies are transferred, now you can use the 7 point whatever million to use to offset 2025 costs.
Correct.
Follow up. But I thought we were talking about the fact that in order for the quote-unquote standard allowance and the journal entry to move that $7.1 million, that there had to be a contract in place, or those funds were being expended for particular purposes. Is that not correct?
Right, prior to 12/31/24.
Right, but
the specific purpose for those expenditures.
We have no specific purposes.
Follow
Sorry. We have no specific purposes for those funds that any of us us little representatives here, sitting at the table, have ever seen. We don't, and certainly those reasons for use in 2024 do not match anything that we're being provided for use in 2025.
Don't ask for that to be called, please.
Thank you.
What is the motion on the floor? There is no motion on the floor.
There's going to be if someone makes one.
Representative Page, did you have another question, sir?
I think it would be helpful for us to separate what I think are two different valid areas of inquiry here. One is sort of what happened versus how do we move forward.
Correct.
Because I think for us acting today, and like Representative Cordelli, I need to leave to get home for a meeting by 1, which means very soon. What I would like to be able to leave here today is saying, we approve some version of this supplemental budget, whether I don't know if people have issues with any of the line items here, but contingent upon, say, receipt of a letter confirming some of the details we heard today from the auditor about our compliance, or some way of moving forward so we're not coming back here in 4 weeks and projects that are already underway are forestalled. So, I understand that we have separate concerns about exactly the sequence of events, and I don't mean to say that's not something in our orbit to question, but I want to keep the county moving. So I also want to say, how can we move forward today? That's what I feel is most urgent for us.
Okay. Ms. Webb?
Yes.
There is a request to spend $7.1 million today. It is to add it to our general budget, which is why we had a supplemental budget hearing today. It's your opinion that we are free and clear to spend any of this money any which way we can. There is still no restrictions from ARPA, even after the fact, even without being explicitly audited by the feds.
The feds are not going to come and audit it. They are relying on our single audit reports. I mean, the chances that they're going to come and audit it, I would say, are very slim. I've never heard of it.
Because this program just ended a couple months ago, right?
Correct.
So there has been no chance for audits then yet, right?
Correct.
You understand my concern?
I do.
Thank you. Commissioner McGee.
For the record, I asked all of these questions from our previous CFO when she decided and told us we could take the money and spend it for expenses that were already appropriated for. I asked her if that was acceptable, and she said yes. So there seems to be some undercurrent here that the commissioners don't know what's going on, what they're doing. Believe me when I tell you, we were all involved and in the loop on this. Did we miss a transfer? I apologize if we did that, but it wasn't intentional or malicious. but I can tell you that I asked all of these questions. And I did share your discomfort. Because nobody would give me an actual definitive answer other than what we've heard today, which is we were told we could use the money, that we was free and clear.
So the angst that I still have, Commissioner McGee, thank you for clarification, was was done in March. We've had no CFO since January.
Well, the CFO was here till January, and the CFO kept me out of the loop. So you want to blame me, you can blame me.
I don't
You can
want to
anybody you want.
I don't want to blame.
Okay, I'm sorry, but
Commissioner
what's the
McGee?
point here? What's the point?
The point here is to make sure we're doing the right thing.
Well, of course, so let's do the right thing. Let's pass the money we need, and we'll look at it.
Just quickly,
I can't think of your last name, I apologize.
You can call me Rich. That's right.
Administrator Rich, please.
So I think people are confused what ARPA really was for. So it was a reimbursement for nursing homes' additional cost back in the year I believe she booked in 2024. So the American Rescue Plan was looking back at additional costs that nursing facilities had to put in place during COVID. So those costs have already happened. These ARPA funds are reimbursement for everything that has already happened, which frees up, as Mr. Mosco so eloquently said, frees up money going forward to spend for projects like this. So whether things were encumbered in 2024 or going forward in 2025 doesn't, for lack of a word, doesn't really matter. So these monies freed up extra money, not extra money, but additional funds for us to go forward with the supplemental budget. So as far as ARPA is concerned, we spent what we needed to spend because they looked at our agency, they're going to look at our salaries for nursing. So that's already been done. So I'm just trying to unmuddy the waters as best I can.
I completely understand that, and I know that's where we are right now, is we use for nursing home expenses. It was transferred, a journal entry in March, which the delegation should have approved because it technically changed our budget, which technically changed our appropriations, which technically gave us a $7 million surplus on a budget that did not have a $7 million surplus. Am I correct on that, Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, I did try to do that on March 21st when the budget was open.
Correct.
And the budget passed without any of this happening within the budget.
You tried to tell us that we had a $7 million transfer to do?
Brought all of the information to the delegation meeting and was told that it was off budget, off the books, out of a separate account. So once the whole budget was finalized, then the delegation voted to spend money out of this account over here without an appropriation. And so now we're here today asking you for the appropriation so we can fix the mechanics of it. We tried to do it on March 21st.
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment?
Representative Barros.
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
Breaking out.
One of the things that sounds like we need to clarify going forward, put it into an RSA, so be it. But it sounds first here. Who's in charge of what? And I think that's part of the problem here.
I could not agree more.
And that was it.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Representative McAleer.
Thank you. Ms. Webb's explanation and the Chairman's Rick's explanation, I think they're solid explanations. And I think there was a mistake made that it wasn't given to us for a vote, but thank goodness Ms. Webb picked this up and transferred this money. And I think it was done correctly. I personally have no problem with it. And I think we should take a vote on this and spend the money.
Okay. Representative Felcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We may or may not be compliant with federal law. Perhaps we are. I think we've had some good explanations for how and why this was done. It makes sense. But I think at a minimum, right now, we're in violation of state law. At a minimum, it looks like we would need to take a vote as a delegation to properly have these funds integrated into the budget. My concern, and right now, I would not be voting in favor of doing so unless I'd like to see at a minimum the documentation that was provided to our auditor demonstrating exactly what it was that this was allocated to and spent on retroactively, so I can be comfortable that this was done, and then I'd be perfectly happy to take that vote to move this.
That's what the list is for. That's what the list is for. That's what this is for.
Representative McAleer.
Well, I'm processing what he asked. Ms. Webb, are you able to do that for us?
I can provide you with, I was given, a line of expenditures, and in particular with three, line items that incurred the most of the cost. And those are the three line items that I focused on when I did my testing, to make sure that they were reasonable and necessary expenditures of the nursing home.
Perfect, thank you. Would you provide that with your letter as well that we asked for earlier?
I know.
What letter is this?
You want to fill her in, Ms. Siemens?
I sent an email to her about it.
You would have got just a clarification email from Ms. Siemens. You good?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion. Well, then discussing everything.
Representative McAleer.
I think what you were asking, we've heard this explanation over and over and over. We're running around in circles. I think I would like to make a motion that we expend this money.
Okay. As presented?
As presented.
Do we have a second? For discussion?
No, just a second.
Okay. So who wants to talk through the supplemental budget and why we have changes and how we came to these changes?
Mr. Chair, if you're sure we're working on the same document? Yeah.
Working on this one now.
We're not working on this one.
This is the ones that the commissioners voted on this morning.
Thank you.
Representative McDonald.
I don't think we need any additional information from the commissioners. We had a public hearing on that. That should have been the time for them to present their backup on these requests. Pardon me? Oh, okay. My apologies. That's okay.
So some of these projects have not been approved by the delegation?
Correct.
And how would these be, these are going in the budget without approval?
That's why we're here today, to ask you to approve putting them in the budget. As outlined on this paper, it says which line items they would be attributed to. Do you feel the need to go through each one, or how did you want to?
Is there a budget packet with all these included in it?
So on,
I think this is
This one?
yes, the blue. Yep.
Any further questions for Ms. Webb? Ms. Webb, thank you for joining us today and making some critical clarifications for us.
You're welcome. If you need any more clarification, just reach out to me.
Thank you. Would you forward your contact information to the chairman?
Melissa has my information.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Brown.
are these all new supplemental budget items on this sheet? Because I thought we discussed some of these already.
The ones that we have approved before was the water system, the jail roof, We did not approve the laundry yet, because I think that's still undergoing some changes. Mr. Murray?
No, we just approved, with the commissioners, we just approved the design, hiring a general contractor, and then we're going to come back with the design and the full amount of the construction.
And a full request?
Yes.
So follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Are there people here to discuss the changes that we didn't vote on today?
Yes, that would be Commissioner McGee.
Okay, thank you.
So, we're being asked to put $7 million into a budget. There are some extra details on the back that explains where some of this money is going, and also a breakdown of included costs. The blue on your sheets that are on here are the changes to the budget. We just have to go step by step to the supplemental budget. The problem with the wholesale adoption is there aren't expenditures to justify the revenue injection. We'll take a 10-minute recess.
You also, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
That's the only reason I said it, it's this waterworks in 2024.
Nice to meet you also, thank you. Thank you very much.
The 2024 books, the work may be completed in 2025. Well, that's not unusual findings.
Yeah, I know.
If it's getting her flat footed.
They put that on my
They certified.
No, the name, I had this.
General County Standards.
Neighbors way back with that name. And I was like,
No, it's my husband's name.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe, but I think his mostly come from Maine, so. Thank you for shipping I don't know how many different ways I should explain this.
I'm hearing this. I'm hearing those. You're in the audit. Yes, you're right. It was.
Hey, Gene. It's done every day of the week, 1,000 times a day. With federal grant money. Trust me, I've done it many times. I can't tell you how many times I've done it. You guys made the wrong choice. That's my choice, that's my
We were just talking about that.
Excuse me.
20 years of finance experience in dealing with federal grants.
Are you staying for the rest of this? Yeah.
Willing to go for that?
Whatever safe.
Yes. You've already
She made a nice explanation, and thank God she caught it. I mean, the only mistake she made is didn't tell us.
Well, she didn't realize she had to. The audit didn't realize she had to. She didn't know.
And then if you have.
Yeah, I mean, I had no data. Bless you guys. The only issue is, sugar control didn't happen. One thing to change the tax rate.
It may be a blessing in disguise, Tom.
It's free at the moment.
Gene, start today?
Yeah.
No.
That's right.
So, when do you want to start?
Issue was,
If you want to start.
I need to go outside for a minute.
Gene, you got this right done today.
I should have eaten a better breakfast.
Despite all those things on today.
So we should go down and just come back? Okay, is that, yeah, if that works for you. Yeah. Okay. So I will put this.
Yes, we put, you
Now it's like.
Hopefully it's last something, but I don't know if it's.
Carroll found out what to read. We're caucusing?
Just remember what I just said.
Got it.
There's nothing malicious with it, nothing intentional.
Auditor just said.
Yes. She didn't.
the only question we have addressed.
Allow me to speak. I gotta get on mute.
It's money we already have. The money is already there. Plus another $11 million.
It's wonderful. We don't put in the capital budget.
Statement of I. Good, how you doing? Good to see you on the business.
Right, exactly.
Like this. I see some of your articles showing up as Laconia data. It's good that you're in the government. It's funny how many, like I go by, too far away? Yeah, just kind of draw. Not listening to anybody else that's talking. But every once in a while, I'm told that by the bosses, they wanted me to do a story that mainly had to do with Squam Lake.
I had the same concern. I said, I asked Marty 100. I asked Marty 100 times in 100 ways. I said, why? Are you 100% sure we can do it? I'll start going over it. And I read the book. The original book that came out was like this. And they weren't real specific. Yes, I'm saying you're correct. You did. I'm not really asking you. Yes. That's my issue. She's the author. I'm not an accountant. She's the author.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't know that, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Send your letter of intent back in October. They were supposed to drop the dumpster and the materials next Thursday. 2025. It was. It might have been for the whole amount. Yes. No problem. I don't care where the money comes from. That's the question. Well, no, she said,
she took it and paid for it.
And this was bond funding, this wasn't her, this was bond. Bonnie didn't tell me, Bonnie didn't tell me. I remember what she said, and I know what she was saying. I'm unclear of how they're being segregated and tracked.
The shame that he did all that work.
She's the,
And
I
you know
know,
that
but she should know, she's the auditor.
Just gave us all the answers to move ahead.
It's done on a million times a day all over the country.
Thank you.
Money spent after the fact, we take federal money, monitor the money that's been spent, transfer the money so you don't use it. It's not every day of the week. I did it for years.
All the way to the yellow and then to
The transfer takes place ahead of time. And we approve it after the fact. So.
This is why nobody wants to do this. This is why nobody wants to do this.
Oh my God.
I think some people need some basic.
Well, that's.
I mean, I did it for my career with it, in budget, so I
They were short, the CFO,
when she left, I saw
but
that.
the reality was, the
Yeah.
CFO
She already took it out.
over and straightened out. Now they get the listen. Then it took off.
Joe, is that you in the bathroom? No. Oh. Nope.
We're checking your first. Non-practice. Yeah. To take money from one account and free up this money.
How good your golf game?
Not very good. I wish it was better than it was. I don't plan up anymore.
You work?
I work too much. I do, yeah.
You're looking at me.
Well, we're just gonna ask Steve, so you go into
Yeah, we've been all
Asked her that specific
Yeah.
question, she said.
I'm at North Conway now. Okay, so I went to North Conway last week. This weekend. I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to speak. Nice meeting you. And thank you for considering me. I do appreciate it all. And gentlemen, good luck. Good luck, everyone.
Would you like to open up aside from requirements for every other that one has every time
Yeah, you understand why.
and the one that
So it was nice meeting you. Good luck.
The letter that he asked for had all the details, all those details that you're asking for, that she's gonna provide. And it was given in front of all these witnesses, everybody knows what she said. It's an hour's drive to
All right, we are back in session.
allergy background.
second session.
Got a gavel.
Bring the meeting back to order, please. We have a motion on the floor to do the supplemental budget as presented. I'm going to ask for that to be removed, if the member wishes.
What, any explanation?
Yes.
Oh, here.
We can approve part of these because they haven't been approved expenses yet. So we can't fund something that we can't expect.
All right.
Who was the first?
Representative McAleer.
Who was the second?
Representative Bucco.
Representative Bucco, you remove your second?
I remove my second. Yes.
Thank you. Representative McAleer?
Yep.
Thank you. So we're going to take this piece by piece. One through, move to approve supplemental budget requests 1 through 10 on the supplemental budget vote from that was presented today.
Which sheet are you on?
We are on this sheet.
For a motion?
I'm looking for a motion. Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Commissioners, you can give us a quick overview of why these are changing? 1 through 10.
Pretty much self-explanatory on the information we provided. If you look at the 2 pages, is there anything more you'd like to know?
Why we're increasing victim services when we just did the budget in March?
That was well, we didn't put the budget together originally, but I guess there was an issue with that. You can speak to it, go ahead.
In the original victim service budget that was presented to you in December, there were 2 full-time positions, and the salaries were funded, but not the benefits and payroll expenses for the second person. Just was overlooked. This was discovered by our staff accountant last week. But
Motion's been made and seconded.
Question.
Representative Woodcock, please.
Can we get an explanation? I read the literature that they gave us today. But can we get an explanation on the change in the registry of deeds? There's a 2-page summary on thinking. I think it's thinking.
New software.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a different company.
in your packet, there was an explanation from the Register of Deeds, and she has stepped away just for a few minutes, Mr. Chairman, to go over to have the new commissioner sworn in. She'll be right back.
So she's asking for an increase of
They're increasing that budget by $100,000 so that they can go back to the previous records management system that they used, Fiddler Technologies.
and there's currently, I've been following along, there's currently a problem with what we have.
Yes, and I think she's pretty specific in the narrative that she had provided.
Yep. And we'll also increase our yearly fees as well from what we were paying.
Yes.
Did we explain that, Mr. Chairman, previously?
No, I watched it during your meeting.
Okay. So you understand that?
I understand, but I don't know if the rest of the members do. So if you want to give a quick overview as to how we got here with that.
Well, I could wait for her, but the bottom line is, the system we're currently using doesn't have a lot of backup, and she's really uncomfortable with that, and she feels we should go back to the original system we had. I guess when we changed systems, it was due to a better deal price-wise, but sometimes that isn't always the best deal. And she feels it's better, it would be better for the county to go back to the Fidler system. I'm not familiar with either one of them. I would take her at her word. I don't think she would spend the money if she didn't think we had to.
Here she comes.
She's coming over a mountain.
I think it.
Who is that?
Anita, Representative Burns.
Follow-up question, Representative Woodcock? Or you want to wait for the registrar?
Well, no, I understand what Commissioner McGee just said. Sort of aligns with what's here. I was just concerned.
Thank you.
Karen, you're up.
They're asking about the registry, huh? Okay.
We're waiting for you to ask the question. I saw you leave, so I asked the question.
Damon, did you have any questions for me?
No, I think we're on track, right? To do this.
Thank you. I read the data you gave us, the sheet we just got this morning. Can you just give us a line overview so we all know what we're doing here, why we're doing this? This is on the conversion.
Okay, this is about why I want to convert, or this is about safety? Because what you guys originally wanted was about safety?
Yeah, that was a whole different issue.
Okay. Okay, so the reason I would like to change, I'd really like to find my notes, if that's all right.
You want this?
No, I do have it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Wait 3 hours to rush.
Our current system, while I, as an abstractor, I liked it. I liked what it looked like. I am finding it to be exceedingly difficult to deal with. As far as I can tell, the one person who is the company. I have never spoken with anyone other than Mr. Haynes. And while I think he does have our best interests at heart, the support and technical support is very slow.
Are we in the private section territory here?
8 other registries in New Hampshire use Fidler Technologies. We used Fidler Technologies until Registrar Scott moved us away from that system. I wasn't here for that. My understanding is she made it sound as though they were not a secure system. And my later, more recent understanding is that that's because she would not allow them to update the way they were supposed to. The additional search methods that they added, that's called Laredo, is a very robust system and would, in fact, if we move to the system and also use their product called Bastion, which would enable us to run, even if we had a countywide breakdown like they had in Stratford County. The Stratford Register does not use the Bastion product, so they were down for whatever, 10 days. With Bastion, we would be able to keep running. The entire registry would just still keep running.
That's fine. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm happy. No, thank you. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So this will handle for us going forward. This product will handle whatever we need going forward.
Yes, and they do any appropriate updates, and the customer service is fantastic. They have about 65 employees.
Wonderful. But it also increased our yearly fees as well?
It does. The registry was always able to support that before. I don't see any reason that we couldn't do that again. There are additional revenue streams available through their products. We walked away from at least $35,000 just by getting rid of one of those.
Okay.
So I think
And those revenue streams would need to be approved by us? Or-
they're part of the product.
So if there's a charge for,
So, yes, it's à la carte, yes. So we would, as we get closer to, if we can sign a contract, then we would have to choose, yes.
thank you. Any further questions for the registrar on her request, budget request? All right, continue on, Commissioner McGee?
Yes. I'll let executive coordinator speak to this. The legal expenses.
Is that where we are, Mr. Chairman? Sorry. The
We're
legal.
on number,
Are you moving to 7?
victim witness, commissioners was just $1,000 increase.
That was the remaining bill for the annex legal services that we were receiving as we were trying to negotiate contracts. That's the final bill.
Thank you. So that only increases your budget $1,000.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Thank you. Registered deeds was 100,000 to increase county facilities, line 7, section 7, number 7.
Okay. So for the administration building, it's the energy project measurement and verification report that's tied to the Siemens energy upgrades that were done. This will pay for the third and final report.
Okay.
And then some related expenses for the annex. When we did the dumpster, we had the dumpster for the clean out, we had a fire panel repair, and then we have a $60,000 contract to repair the roof.
So that is not included in the jail roof? The
No, it's
project
separate.
here?
They went out in the same RFP because I wanted the same contractor to do both, but the dollar values per building are separate.
Thank you. Okay. DPW's number 9.
I'll take the blame for that, for doing payroll on the fly during your delegation meeting.
Understood. Bottom line. All right. We have a motion on the floor for 1 through 10. Any further discussion? Mr. Clark?
Did approve the supplemental budget request 1 through 10. Representative Cavelli, Representative Taylor,
Yes.
Representative Smith, Representative Belcher,
Yes.
Representative Brown,
Yes?
Representative Hamlin,
Yes.
Representative Crawford, Representative McDonald, yes. Representative Paterno,
Yes.
He should know that.
my apologies, Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative Woodcock,
Yes.
Representative Burrows,
Yes.
Representative McAleer,
Yes.
Representative Page,
Yes.
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Passes 12 to 0.
And they asked us to know what we know.
All right. Motion to approve section 14 and 15. You want to give us a quick overview on that, Bob? Or Ms. Siemens, either one?
Yeah, Melissa, please.
The 14 is related to the fire panel at the nursing home that needed repair.
Okay.
And that just gives you a new revised bottom line in number 15 for Mountain View facilities.
Yep, that just increases to 7,000 or so.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion to approve. Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Guys, speak up who that was.
Page.
Page, thank you. I can't see you from here, sir.
We made the Dems sit way at the end.
You always sit up here with me. You are always welcome at the head table, Representative Woodcock. All right, 14, 15, Mr. Clark?
Okay, to approve number 14 and 15 of the supplemental budget request. Representative Cordelli, Representative Taylor,
Yes.
Representative Belcher,
Yes.
Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative Hamblin,
Yes.
Representative Crawford, clerk votes yes. Representative Patnell,
Yes.
Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative Representative Woodcock,
Yes.
Representative Burrows,
Yes.
Representative McAlee,
Yes.
Representative Page,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion passes 12-0.
Okay. Section 11. We're going to take it piece by piece. What is $235,000 for?
Paving in the main entrance and addressing the walkways around the administration building, carpeting, replacement carpet in the county attorney's office, and some flooring that needs to be addressed in the sheriff's department.
Have those haven't come to delegation for approval?
No.
DPW, 70,000.
Sewer system repairs and improvements, replacing several key components. Originally, it was in the capital budget, and you suggested that it be paid for with ARPA, so we're just...
Motion to approve 70,000 for DPW. Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Who was that? Representative Hamlin, thank you. Mr. Clark?
Just a second, sir.
Yep.
Jody.
So this motion is just to approve the DPW request.
Correct.
094. Okay, Representative Taylor,
Yes.
Representative Belcher,
Yes.
Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative Hamlin,
Yes.
clerk votes yes. Representative Patnell,
Yes.
Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative Woodcock,
Yes.
Representative Burrows,
Yes.
Representative McAlee.
Yes.
Representative Page,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Passes 12-0.
All right, Sheriff's Dispatch for 100,000.
So he currently has $70,000 in his capital budget for 2 cruisers. This adds an additional $30,000 to create an impound lot.
So this is changing that number for that line 095 in his capital to 100,000,
Correct,
not requesting another 100,000?
correct.
And has that project been approved by the delegation?
No.
Information Technology 096, 202,000.
So originally, we had $157,000 in the budget for the IT project and $45,000 in their operating line for equipment. It was suggested they be moved off budget to be paid for with ARPA. Now we're just putting it back.
Motion to approve 096 for 202,000.
So moved.
Thank you, Representative Belcher. Do we have a second? Representative Woodcock, thank you. Mr. Clark?
Okay, motion is to approve 096 Information Technology to a total of $202,000. Representative Taylor,
Yes.
Representative Belcher,
Yes.
Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative Hamblin,
Yes.
clerk votes yes. Representative Patnell,
Yes.
Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative Woodcock,
Yes.
Representative Burrows,
Yes.
Representative McAleer,
Yes.
Representative Page.
Left the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Representative Woodcock.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. Annex 098.
That's $55,000 for the asbestos abatement for this building. We do have a contract to have that work done. It was going to be part of the overall annex project.
Has that been approved by the delegation?
Yes.
Yes. Was it?
Yes. Back in, back when the jail roof was approved, back last October.
Okay.
They did it at the same time as the jail roof.
Okay, so is it going to replace any of these windows, or what's the project going to do?
We're talking about the jail, the roof, right?
The
Just
asbestos.
remove-
The asbestos for here.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was approved at the same time. It's just going to remove all the asbestos that we have in the building, whatever's left.
Okay.
Floor tiles, caulking around windows and doors.
Is the 55,000 is total replacement for both install, a removal, and a reinstall?
There's going to be no removal. They're just going to scrape out the old caulking.
And put in new?
I believe so, yes.
Same thing with the floor?
No, the floor is going to go away. We're going to be looking at concrete. I'm taking advantage of the money being available to rid this building of asbestos.
Motion to approve 098 annex for $55,000.
So approved.
Thank you, Representative Taylor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, McAleer. You know, we all say it so softly. Mr. Clark.
Speak up like Representative Carroll.
Representative Taylor?
Yes.
Representative Belcher?
Yes.
Representative Brown?
Yes.
Representative Hamlin?
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Panano?
Yes.
Representative Bucco?
Yes.
Representative Woodcock?
Yes.
Representative Burrows?
Yes.
Representative
Yes.
Mangalia? Representative Page? Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Passes 11-0.
Thank you. Just going to skip down one to the water system improvements. That's already been approved. Motion to approve that. Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Second.
Second. Mr. McAleer.
When you look away and say it, I can't see your lips.
I'm reading the thing.
He's bashful.
Any further discussion? We've discussed this numerous times. Mr. Clerk.
One more time on who the first and the second was.
Representative Woodcock and McAleer.
Should be huge, your water, possibly water.
And what's the total? What were we asking for?
2163833.
Oh, well.
That's a lot of water.
Okay, Representative Taylor.
Yes.
Representative Belcher.
Yes.
Representative Brown.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Excuse me, Representative Hamlin.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Petnell.
Yes.
Representative Bucco.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Burrows.
Yes.
Representative McAleer.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. Next one down, electronic records. We discussed that. That is a replacement of something. 122.
So the electronic records creates a new indexing and filing system for the county, across the county.
Has that been approved by the delegation?
No.
Jail roof repair, 123, 700,000. Just a quick overview, Ms. Siemens or Bob.
Yeah, this is a project that was approved by the delegation last October. It's to recover the jail roof.
So we're replacing the entire jail roof, so we're not coming back in a
Recovering
year.
it.
In a year saying it's still leaking.
Today, well, not today, it's a nice day.
No, it's a beautiful day.
It might still
But
be.
when it's done.
Currently, it is still leaking, yes.
All right, but when it's done, it's done. We're not coming
Correct.
back and having to do this again.
Correct.
Better not, because it'd be a warranty claim.
Yeah.
Thank you. Glad somebody's all over this. Is there an extended warranty as well, or are we all going to get calls on that?
Mr. Chairman, just so you know, we actually did not take the cheapest bid on this because we went with an approved contractor who was approved and certified to do this system that we need. And we did it for that very reason, so that the next commissioner that's sitting here doesn't have to answer why we're doing the roof again in 2 or 3 or 5 years or whatever.
You want to give a quick overview of what that is for the new members that work here?
Absolutely. The jail roof that currently leaks is going to be covered with an insulation layer and then a rubber roofing membrane. The manufacturer requires that anybody that installs this rubber roofing membrane needs to be certified by the manufacturer. The low bid that we received was not certified by the manufacturer, so we went with the next bid that was approved by the manufacturer.
Thank you.
And could stand behind the warranty.
Yeah, so that's, the certified gives us the warranty on the manufacturer's warranty and an installation warranty.
Correct.
Thank you. Motion to...
Move it. I'll make that motion.
Okay, I think we already had, did we have that? No. So we just put everybody on that one.
I was trying to beat Steve.
Representative Brown and Representative Woodcock.
I think he
First
was
and
first.
second.
Stop having fun.
Okay, number 123, 700,000. Representative Taylor?
Yes.
Representative Belcher?
Yes.
Yes.
We're getting there.
Representative
Getting
Hamlin?
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Pettingill?
Yes.
Representative Bucco?
Yes.
Representative Woodcock?
Yes.
Representative Burr?
Yes.
Representative McAleer?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. 125 has not been approved by the delegation yet because it's still in its early stages.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So normally when we have capital items that are in the budget, that's the approval by the delegation. How would you like just to proceed with these things that haven't been approved by the delegation?
They get approved by the delegation, then they get funded.
Okay, so that's what we're asking you to do today.
Right. So do we have contracts? We only have a plan for the facility upgrade, right?
We need a vote of support so that we can continue to move forward with having the Gopher County Nursing Home Improvement Funds reallocated by the Governor and Council to keep the project moving forward. We have a June, if that's approved, we have a June 30 deadline to have the whole project completed of next year.
Okay, the commissioners have approved this?
Yes.
Yeah, pending funding, yes.
Where is our approval? We don't have any diagrams, costs, anything?
This is it today. Mr. Chair, may I?
Why don't we just hold on and let's finish the rest of this first.
$2 million.
099 for MVC is 1316877. That also has projects in there that have not been approved by the delegation.
So the wheelchair van was in the capital budget,
Yep.
and it was suggested to be paid out of ARPA, and so now we're asking you to put it back. That was awarded today. And then there are other items that until now haven't been brought to the delegation for approval, correct?
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Please.
For the sake of the record, anything that's really not funded already, we won't proceed with until we're sure it will meet the budget needs in terms of having enough money. I mean, we want to put them in there as a placeholder, and it's things we want to do, pending what happens this year with state revenues and everything else.
Well, we also understand that we can't construct, enlarge, or renovate buildings without the delegation approval, so this allows us to pursue them and get qualified bids and sketches and all those things, and then bring them back to the full or the executive committee.
The problem if you don't do this now, June 26 seems like a long way away, but it's really not.
So the question I have is we can't put revenue in without expenditures. Seeing as we haven't approved these expenditures, we can't just approve the expenditures on the word that we're going to build a pavilion for how much money? And who's that been awarded to? Any input from the delegation on design or anything else? I'm just using that as an example. How do we put that in the budget without an expenditure?
It's an estimate.
How do we put an estimate in the budget?
We typically put estimates in the capital budget. We get quotes, estimates for most of the capital things.
It's an
we do.
estimate like everything else. If it comes in over the estimate, then we don't do it. Or we have to come back for more money.
Mr. Chair, please.
I have a question from the member of the delegation first, and I'll get to you, Bob.
Thank you.
Representative Brown.
Thank you for your tolerance, Mr. Chairman. So my question about all these things that we're putting in here that we haven't already voted on, that we haven't reviewed, is where are the estimates and who are doing these estimates on these projects? Because I would like to see what the estimates are before I'm voting on some of these things.
Fair, and they were very rough estimates to come up with a budget number.
Again, that's why I would want to see.
In order to estimate it, we have to put it out for bid. I mean, if you want a real estimate, you gotta put it out for bid.
Bob is sitting over there.
That's what I'm trying to answer, I'm squirming.
So that's my concern, Mr. Chairman. I would like to see some estimates and, as you said, some type of drawing or sketch and scope of work so that we can feel comfortable with these things that we're putting in for.
I would agree. Administrator Murray, please.
Thank you, Director.
Director Murray.
So, the commissioners have approved that we hire a general contractor. A general contractor is going to now take the steps forward to come up with an estimate. We have a rough design. You know, I can run down to my desk and I can make copies and show you our basic design. That's what we're going to move forward with and get estimates for. So what we need to do is part of this money that hopefully you're going to be approving momentarily is to allow us to continue that process to get you those estimates that you want. But we can't do it without hiring the general contractor. The general contractor is going to take the next step and formalize it, ink it, and get you the estimate that you're asking for. So if we can at least get that part moving forward, we can get those answers. As far as the actual construction, I suppose that could wait until the next delegation meeting, because it's going to take some time to get the designs drawn and estimates put together.
Right.
Just to add to Bob's point, we've already engaged with the architect and the civil engineer to do some prelim work, because otherwise we couldn't put it out for bid.
Correct.
For GC. So.
Correct.
And that's our intent, is this is going to go out to bid, you're going to get the design and the numbers.
Okay. Representative Brown, follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So based on my background, I would like to see some type of scope of work and some type of preliminary estimate by the director or whoever before it comes to a meeting where I have to vote on some significant dollars here. So at least I have some idea. I don't think it's appropriate for us to come here cold and go, okay, there's a line item, I want $2 million, 19,000, 40,000, 50,000. I have no idea. And I don't think it's appropriate to come in at this time and say, well, I can go down to my office and get that. I mean, I would like to at least have a few minutes to look at this and feel comfortable with the scope of work or the fact that this is something that you want to do. I don't recall having that discussion. And I'm not beating you up, I'm just saying, I don't feel comfortable voting on some of these things when I have no idea what this is on.
Mr. Chair?
You certainly can. It was a question.
Okay. As far as hiring the general contractor, that's just hot off the press. That was just awarded. It didn't have time to get to you. So we need $149,000. We need $149,000 of that money to proceed, to take the next steps. That's going to hire the general contractor who's going to give us the estimates and give you the full scope of everything that you need. We have a vision. We have a rough estimate, a ballpark estimate, which is not acceptable, and we have a plan of what we want to do. But we have to take this next step in order to ink it and get you the answers that you want. And that's fine. You don't have to vote today on the laundry addition, but we would like you to vote today to allow us to proceed to get you those numbers.
Point of clarification. We opened the bids today for the engineering. We haven't awarded anything.
Correct.
Or signed.
My apologies.
We had 2 bids opened up today. And if we go, it's going to be between $150,000 and $200,000 to move forward to get. We already have plans, preliminary plans drawn. We have architectural sketches and things like that. So, but we also have some contracts that have already been awarded. So that's what we're looking for.
Okay. I think we got the gist of where we are right now on a couple of these things. Representative McDonald.
How much do they need to hire the general contractor and to get all the numbers that we need? How much money?
1.9 to 200.
No, we're not doing that.
Since the bids were opened this morning, and they haven't been officially approved by the commissioners yet, the only way I could answer that is to ask you to fund the highest bid, because we haven't made our recommendation to the commissioners yet. The highest bid was 212, and then if you add in, let's call it $225,000.
And where would you like that put?
Hey.
I'll split it with you.
Where would be a good place to put that?
We just put it in the Mountain View capital, right? And
Sure.
where we're asking for it originally.
Sure. And if we,
4901, 125.
Wouldn't that be under contract services since we're contracting somebody?
that would be 039, 4414, 039 is, 029 is contracted services.
But if we did the whole project, it would eventually all lump together in the same package in capital, no?
I don't know, I don't have a, I'm happy to fund your seed money to get you where we need to be.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Please.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to commit to anything until you see the final numbers. But if you think you're going to have a problem with $2 million to do this, I don't want to waste $200,000 or $250,000 to do a lot of work. I mean, if you don't think it's something you want to do, I'd just like to know now before we go through it, because we did this with the annex and spent a lot of money up front that's basically going to go down the drain. And I don't want to do that again.
I see no problem approving I'm speaking just for myself, I see no problem approving moving the laundry over to the nursing home, which should have been done 10 years ago.
And honestly, we were pretty conservative, or it will probably be less than $2 million.
But I also understand that this is a spend and reimbursement as well, so we're getting some money back from FERFA for this project.
That's correct.
So I can completely understand why it needs to be funded, however, I can't put something in the budget that doesn't exist.
Understood.
Because we have this is our main budget that we have now opened in front of us, we can make any changes we want.
Now, my only point is if the delegation doesn't feel it's something they want to do, you said you personally are in favor of it, if you just don't, I just don't want to waste money.
I think it's an excellent idea, we should have done it in the original thing, but that's my opinion. However, the delegation votes, the delegation will vote.
An opportunity has presented itself, and we're moving forward to try to get it done.
I do not disagree. I just wish we were adding assisted living, but that's another topic for another day.
Right.
It's going to be a little more money.
Yes.
Rich, Administrator LaBeouf is going to help you out with the number that you just asked.
So Bob's 225, we have to need to add 60,000 for the engagement of the architect, and another 15,000 for the civil engineer.
So it sounds like 300,000.
300, I was going to say 300 would be the number.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman.
I hope you have a motion.
Not yet.
Question?
So the question is, I have no idea what projects we're voting on, what the total scope is on each of these projects, how many projects, what the square footage is, what the scope is in general, and I'm being asked to vote on $300,000. Am I missing something here?
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to get that information at the presentation when we present the laundry project.
But you're asking for $300,000 to
read
fund
slide
that
is-
now.
Hold on.
Absolutely, Representative.
So the 300,000 is to engage the general contractor to get us the information in the project and get it approved through the process of having the commissioners approve it and us approve it and fund it.
I'm not trying to be difficult.
You're not at all.
But I did this for
Yeah.
40 years. So my point is this, is that I want to know what projects are included in this.
Oh,
What
Understood.
projects are included in this? What am I spending the money on for these engineering estimates? So I can feel comfortable saying, oh yes, we're going to build a 40,000 square foot laundry room. We want to do this. That's what I need to know, so I can say, yes, that's a reasonable cost for my.
Valid question.
Thank
So
you.
we're looking to construct a 1,400 square foot laundry addition, which will include all the washing machines, dryers, the whole nine. So once, we're estimating maybe $600 a square foot, which is gonna get you right around $800,000 to $900,000 total, if our estimates are in ballpark. So that's, and it's gonna be on the side of the building, right next to that white fence, going west.
Right where you see those herb beds.
So, if I may,
Follow up, yes?
so that's the project we're talking, one project, and we're getting a general contractor to do a design feasibility study for $300,000?
Yes, he's gonna be a construction management, so he's gonna, but he also knows once he gets the contract, you know, he's gonna get a piece of that apple too, so.
So, sorry.
Follow up?
So this is a design build for this project. So he's going to design the project or hire the architect, and he's going to then project manage the whole thing as far as bidding it out, managing it from start to finish.
We already have the architect with the drawing, so that's pretty much close to being, that's way along further than the construction management guy. But yeah, he's gonna bid it out, just like anything, he's gonna need three bids for everything he bids out. So
Okay.
that's the numbers, they just, literally, we opened them up 3 hours ago.
Okay, so that is just for the laundry. There's other projects in here that haven't been approved, is he going to have hands-on as those as well?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is he going to have hands-on those other projects as well?
We're just voting on the laundry.
$300,000 for the laundry.
$300,000 for design, concept design, and execution.
And
If-
construction management.
And construction management, so he's going to be here to manage it.
So it includes the architectural design in that $60,000. So the
Yes.
total is $300,000 to bid, design, and project manager.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's the kind of thing I'm going to need if I'm going to approve funding for stuff like this. Otherwise, I have no idea what I'm spending $300,000 on.
Understood, and it was very helpful for all of us as well, Representative Brown,
Thank
because
you.
we didn't understand it as well. Motion to approve. It's not, we're going to build it. If you build it, they will come, right?
Yes, thank you.
Where do you want it, Bob? Representative, Director Murray.
300.4414.029.000.
You make this
Do
stuff
we have
up?
that written down, Ms. Stevens?
That says 2 million.
What number is that?
34414.
029. 000.
Motion to approve $300,000 to that line.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Representative Brown.
Second.
Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Any further discussion? Hopefully not. Mr. Clark.
Okay, to approve $300,000 for concept design and execution to the laundry at Mountain View Community. Representative Taylor,
Yes.
Representative Belcher,
Yes.
Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Patnell,
Yes.
Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Burrows. Okay. Representative McAleese.
Yes.
Okay. Representative, excuse me, Chairman Avalon.
Yes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you. There is a second 099 MVC for 1.316 million. It has projects in there that have not been approved. Is that correct?
It has some project, yes.
Wheelchair van has been approved.
The wheelchair van was in the capital budget originally.
That was 93,000.
Correct.
Does that come in above or below bid?
Just under.
Just under, thank you.
85.
Paving hasn't been approved.
No,
Sidewalks have not been approved.
no,
Pavilion has not been approved.
no,
HVAC upgrades.
no.
However, I think Director Murray indicated we should do that. The HVAC upgrades.
Oh, yeah, we definitely should. I don't have a contract. I'm meeting with actually I'm meeting with them tomorrow morning. But I want to finish the remaining 14-year-old HVAC digital control upgrades. Siemens did a portion of it when we did the energy project.
Right.
There were some at the time, because that project started 6 years ago. Didn't need to be upgraded, but I just found out recently that the remaining HVAC control system that we have is out of service. It's obsolete.
It's gone. Okay, so we've crossed that bridge before.
I had to get parts on eBay to fix it a couple weeks ago.
Okay, well, we don't want to do that. So what is your costs for that?
I'm estimating $350,000.
And that's going to upgrade it to something new, newer, maintenance?
Oh yeah, brand new.
Oh, so it might have a warranty?
Might have a warranty.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
What is the total of those two?
93 and what?
350.
443?
Yeah. 43.
You want it in 099? 490099?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion to approve 443,000.
I have a question first, Mr. Chairman.
Can we get the motion first?
Motion approved.
Thank you, Representative McDonald. Representative Brown, seconds.
Sure.
Representative Brown is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, again, you mentioned you're meeting with folks tomorrow or one contractor tomorrow?
I'm meeting with Siemens tomorrow. Siemens is our HVAC control vendor on the campus now. And
So you know what my question is going to be next, right? Why do we only have one vendor, even though you might have Siemens controls? Why are we only having one vendor bid on this type of thing? Because
Siemens controls are proprietary. No one else can work on Siemens controls except for Siemens.
Well, I'm not happy about that.
Well, neither am I, but it's what I was handed and it's what I've got to work with.
That's part of their contract that we signed years ago, right?
Years ago, yeah. We got in bed with Siemens 6 years ago.
That should be up soon, right? The
Well, not when
contract's
they
up
sell you
soon?
proprietary technology, you own it, we're in bed together for the foreseeable future.
Right, but so just for our new members, the contract that we signed years ago was for an efficiency upgrade.
It was called a performance contracting upgrade. It took care, it did all the LED lighting on the campus, did boiler and air conditioner upgrades, insulation upgrades, a roof upgrade at the administration building, digital HVAC controls. So we signed on to the whole package for this performance contracting project. Signing on to the Siemens HVAC controls led us into a proprietary agreement. No one else can work on Siemens controls except for Siemens. So
Okay.
they own us as far as that's concerned.
And that's where we are today.
That's where we're at today.
Thank you.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Please, Representative Brown.
So my
Sorry for
question,
hijacking.
my question is then, they have proprietary controls, but is it all Siemens equipment as well?
Yes.
So then, I guess another follow-up.
Please.
What are we doing about not getting locked into proprietary pricing and excessive pricing on projects like this? This is absolutely ridiculous when we do this. You do not get anything near competitive pricing when you do this. And I know this for doing this over.
I'm well aware.
So, moving forward, I'm not happy about this, and I'd like to see what the administration is going to do about this as we move forward, because proprietary things, unless it's a unique system, does not make sense, because it does not save us any money.
I agree with you 100%.
Thank you.
Motion's made, second. Any further discussion? And Mr. Director Murray, you're okay with that? Those two projects? That's on your top list?
The $350,000 for the HVAC controls and the wheelchair van, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Clark?
Okay, motion is to approve $350,000 for the HVAC system and $93,000 for the wheelchair van, for a total of $443,000. Representative Taylor.
Yes.
Representative Belcher.
Yes.
Representative Snowboy. Representative Brown.
Yes.
Representative Hamlin.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Petno.
Yes.
Representative Bucco.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Burrows, no. Representative McAleer.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion passes. passes 10-0.
Thank you. Where are we now with the budget? Totals?
I'm working on it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You have to go too.
15 minutes. There's 3 of us that are waiting for you to do this.
Oh, while we're waiting, we can
I figured 2:45 would be fine.
quickly review the first quarter financials. Commissioner McGee, you want to take us through the first quarter?
No.
Okay. Ms. Stevens, you want to take us through the first quarter?
The only things that really stick out are the 2 things that you corrected today with the county attorney's budget and the deputy. Other than that, everything else seems to be on track. We initially said that we had no opioid money coming in, so there was some that came in right at the beginning of the year, but again, we're not expecting any more settlement funds at this time.
So what did we get, 17,000?
Yeah.
Okay. The question I have on your sheet is the percentage, it doesn't have any percentage used, it just says 0.
For which one, I'm sorry?
At the bottom of, on the revenue, at the bottom of each.
Yes, so that's an issue with the finance software system. We're trying to get AccuFund to help us with that so that the columns tally at the bottom, not just on the lines.
Because this looks like it's in Excel.
No, it's not, it's an AccuFund.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like Excel.
Okay. Nursing home doing okay? Administrator Rich?
Yes, sir. Census is a little bit above budget. Expenses have been kept in check. And National Nursing Home Week's this week, so it's the Super Bowl for us.
Okay. Anything else stand out on this? Because I can't do the math in my head that quick.
Nothing seems very.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we just go over the things that you approved quickly today? So
Certainly.
I just want to make sure, so you're holding off on the flooring in the administration building?
We're holding off on 89. That's been approved.
And the paving?
And the paving and whatever else is on that whole thing. Holding off on the sheriff dispatch to add 30,000 because that hasn't been brought to us. 099 has been funded for 443,000 instead of the 1.3 million. We're holding off on 125, the facility upgrades. Everything else that we have previously approved through the 25 budget process seems to be approved at this point.
You approved, on 125, you approved 300,000.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So before, we have a crunch time of a few people that need to leave, and that'll put us at a less than a quorum.
I have a total of what you approved today to start with.
The bottom line?
Yeah, the total that you've added to the budget.
Yeah, I just need the bottom line.
Okay.
The bottom line, so they match the incoming and outgoing, so they match. I asked everyone to just hang tight for a few minutes. We're gonna have a quick. So So the revenue number should match the expenditure number as of right now.
Right. So we'll need to add to the revenue. $4,150,765.
41,
4150765.
okay, that's a total of,
That's the revenue, and that's what you voted to approve today.
good, what's the total?
So, 1 second. Five spreadsheets.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, did we act on 122 electronic records?
No.
I thought we did.
No.
All right. So the 122 we seem to have missed. I had it highlighted, but I don't think we finished it. Do we just have a quick overview of that? And has that been approved?
It's a placeholder, so we can get,
We haven't approved it.
Commissioners haven't approved it?
no, they just agreed to have it
We
as a
will
placeholder.
if we can fund it.
Yeah. The municipal records committee that we have is meeting Wednesday to draft RFPs pending this support from the delegation to at least move forward.
So why didn't we send out RFQs?
So we had a couple of companies come in prior to the budget being finalized. Just to give us an idea, we had a lot of cleaning out to do. As you know, this building, several buildings, we've finally got our records down to what we actually need. Catalog. So the records committee is meeting Wednesday to put together the RFQ.
RFQ is to the, okay.
Yeah,
So you can come back to us with that?
sure.
Thank you. All right, we have final total bottom line on revenue.
So I have 46,217,047.
46217,047.
Correct.
Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Representative Brown, Representative Woodcock, you second?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Clark?
Representative Woodcock, second.
46217,947. 047. Yep, thank you.
Okay, the motion is to approve the revenue number of $46,217,047. Representative Taylor.
Yes.
Representative Belcher.
Yes.
Representative Brown.
Yes.
Representative Hammond.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Pecknell.
Yes.
Representative Bucco.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative McAleer.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion passes 10-0.
Thank you. The expenditures match that, the expenditures match that revenue number?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion to approve 46217,047
I'll make that.
for expenditures. Thank you, Representative McAleer. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Thanks, Representative Woodcock. Any further discussion? Mr. Clark?
Expenses 46217-047. Representative Taylor,
Yes.
Representative Belcher,
Yes.
Representative Brown,
Yes?
Representative Hamblin.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes.
Representative Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative Woodcock,
Yes.
Representative McAleer.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you. We have 10 members present. I'm going to recess the supplemental budget hearing. I'm going to ask the delegation to authorize the executive committee to continue working with the commissioners on funding the supplemental budget as these projects get approved or come near approval. There will be a recommendation to the full delegation at such time as when they are approved or scheduled to approve, not to exceed an end date of September 1st, which is when the budgets are due to the DRA.
Looking at that motion.
Looking for that motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Is there a discussion? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So there are a lot of things that we skipped over. In order to bring those forward this year, we'd have to have another supplemental.
I don't think so because we've had the public hearing and I'm recessing the supplemental hearing.
Just going to recess this.
I'm going to recess,
Okay.
yes, not adjourn, recess.
Thank you for
So that way we
clarification.
can continue, it will be noticed with enough notice as everything else for the executive committee. When those, if and when those projects come due, we will make a full recommendation to the delegation to vote for approval of those projects. We're just going to put the funding in and we're going to make a recommendation at that point and the delegation will approve that project. We're not going to supersede that authority. Mr. Clark.
Okay, the motion is for the, who did we get for, excuse me, first?
Belcher Brown.
The motion is for the executive committee to work with the commissioners for scheduled approval of supplemental budget request by September 1st, 2025. Representative Taylor,
Yes.
Representative Belcher,
Yes.
Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative Hamblin.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Patnell,
Yes.
Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative Woodcock,
Yes.
Representative McAleer,
Yes.
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you. Anything else to come before the delegation?
Sorry, at the risk of
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Dragging on.
Yes, thank you. My apologies.
Sorry. I just want to bring it to your attention.
Hopefully.
I won't be in a few weeks. Senate Bill 71, I did find it in my research.
Thank you.
Is currently in front of the Senate in discussions in regards to ICE. I know that's a hot topic federally, locally, and so on. Currently, we had a House bill amendment that unfortunately didn't pass. Currently, the bill in front of the Senate states that corrections, regardless of whether or not they have a government agency contract, corrections are to hold ICE detainees for 48 hours, regardless of state charge, at the end of the state charge. So when they come with the state charges, after those resolve, whether it be bail or sentence is done, the way it's currently written and pending in the Senate, that 48 hours we have to hold, whether we have a contract with ICE or the government in any way, shape, or form. Currently, we do not have a contract. I'm in the infancy stages of that, but currently we don't. My concern, and I look to all of you to help support at the Senate.
You're not lobbying us for anything, right? You're just
Nope.
giving us information?
Nope.
Okay.
I would just say that if that 48-hour hold happens without a contract, that we as a county are going to be hugely liable for any type of medical bills or anything else concerned money-wise with those inmates. And we don't know who we're getting, when we're getting them, or anything else. So just want to put the information out there, take it for what it's worth. But our old amendment in the House that didn't go through, put in there, if you have the agency contract, you have to hold them. This one's taken all that away. And it's actually also added in, if we don't hold them, we would be potentially facing fine from the Attorney General's office. So.
Okay, Representative McDonald, you have a question?
Yeah, what do you do now? If I come in, I arrest someone for DWI and there's a detainer.
We call ICE and say, hey, they're walking out the door, you better come get them.
So then I'm brought before a judge?
No, right now I have 2 inmates that currently have ICE detainers that I don't think they're ever gonna see the street, they're gonna go to prison. But in this instance, if they were bailable or sentence charges, if we knew the sentence was ending tomorrow, we'd call ICE and say, hey, they're leaving tomorrow at 3 p.m. Good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Taylor, a question?
Clarification. I understand from earlier discussion that you had a contract with the U.S. Marshal Services that did cover ICE for up to 48 hours or something like that.
So I was slightly misinformed.
Oh,
I do have a current marshal contract. ICE, and I was unaware, but ICE would have to approach the marshals to put a rider on that to allow that to happen. And that's the conversations I'm in right now, with initial conversations with ICE. But yes, so I do have a marshal contract. That was a thing. I misspoke or misrepresented what I thought was correct. So it is a capability to put a rider on to do the contract if ICE wants to do it.
Thank you. Representative Whitcomb.
Thank you. So currently, you're not on your own holding anyone under the ICE program?
No, because nothing requires us to do so.
Okay. And there's been no training of your officers for that?
No, and there wouldn't need to be any additional training for that in our case, because we hold who they tell us to hold regardless. Whether, in this case, it's only state people we hold, but if there's a court that tells us to hold somebody, we hold them. If it tells us to release them, we release them. We have no say, shape, form, and the training would be no different than any other inmate.
Representative Taylor, you got a follow-up?
Follow-up. I understood from previous conversation that the ICE contract is approximately 60 pages or so.
A full contract, from my understanding, is a massive undertaking. There's 3 or 4 inspectors that come. They do all kinds of crazy things like take temperature of shower water and all kinds of refrigerator temperatures and dishwasher temperatures and all kinds of things. So that is nothing, I don't think, I'm not interested. I don't think the commissioners are for long term. My contract would be simply seeking for that 48 hours to get us covered if there was any such expense.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Yep. We are in recess to the call of the chair. Thank you, everyone.
1:50 p.m.
What you meant by the trigger.
Steve, go to the house meeting again.